Salutations, everybody. It is Matty here today with episode 247 of the H.A.M Radio Podcast.
And it's me, Karak with ACG.
We've got ourselves a special guest, a long overdue guest. Would you mind introducing yourself, who you are, and where people can find you?
Yeah, so my name is JuiceHead, and I make Bethesda content, mostly Fallout content, at basically JuiceHead everywhere, YouTube, and then some variation of that on all the other social.
All right.
Glad to have you on.
Yeah.
Thank you for having me.
Long overdue. And as always, we like to start off this show just letting you all know that this show in general is just funded by Patreon. We're all available on that platform. I know JuiceHead, you just opened up a Patreon, right?
Yes, just this past week.
Yeah, because of the whole CPM cut and what's
Yeah.
going on. Holy shit, bro. Mine dropped 40%. I was like,
Yeah,
all right.
exactly.
I was like, thank God I got one open because I'd be panicking right now.
Yeah.
So we appreciate you guys who do choose to support us during what's been a tough time for everyone. You guys know the gist for us. You get early access for this show for $1. But we'd rather you go to JuiceHead's platform and maybe help him out because he just opened up his Patreon. I'll have that linked down below.
Yeah, cool. Thank you.
Of course. And so we like to start off every show by talking about what we're playing. So before we get into the news, Wastelanders, we got Obsidian's Grounded, Cyberpunk. Like I was saying to JuiceHead before this, it was like the perfect episode for him to come on. We're just going to talk about what games we've been dabbling in. I know Karak and I reviewed Final Fantasy, but JuiceHead, have you been playing anything else, or has it just been Wastelanders prep?
Actually, yeah, I've been playing totally different genre, Pavlov VR and
Wow.
Total War Rome 2, which I don't.
Pavlov's fucking awesome.
Yeah, Pavlov's amazing, and like especially like TTT or like Search and Destroy and Pavlov.
Yeah, I'm so bad at that game. I tried it, and I get waxed every time. And I don't have the thing that you were telling me about, though, Karak, the thing where you can, like...
The 3D,
you can lock your controllers into
They
it.
can help depending on the game. That one is more just getting accustomed to everything. It feels weird to hold something that weighs nothing up against your face. It's not like a real gun, so I can see why it would be hard.
Oh, yeah, I'm so bad at it. I haven't played VR in a while. So I saw you streamed Half-Life Alyx as well, so you've just been all in the VR space. Is that, like, a recent investment?
Well, not really. I had a Vive, like a regular Vive, and I barely used it. And then I sold it and got an Index, and that I use way more because I think it's way more enjoyable. They have like better resolution on the Index and everything. And then before Half-Life Alyx, I like kind of wanted to get back into it, so I started playing a lot. And then Half-Life Alyx came out, and I've just been playing a ton ever since that.
Nice. Yeah, I haven't played VR in a while. Whenever I have, I'm gonna sound like such a casual, but I've just been playing Beat Saber. It's way more fun than I thought.
It's one of the best VR games.
Yeah, but
I've actually never played that.
Well, that's the thing is I see everyone playing it, and I got to get this out of my head. Sometimes I'm just like, oh, it's super popular. It might not be for me, and that's like instantly where my head goes. And I just bought it on a whim because when this whole thing started to pick up where we had to stay inside, I was like, I need exercise options of some kind. And I was like, I need something with a video game. And I got that, and I was like, I doubt it gets me moving. And suddenly I was sweating. So that's cool. So Pavlov, and what was the other one? Total what?
Oh, Total War Rome 2. That game's old. I don't even know why. I think I watched a YouTube video, and I was like, oh yeah, I own that game. And then I downloaded it, and then just I don't know, playing online battles and that I've been doing a lot lately for some reason.
See, that's interesting because like I think I share the perspective that maybe a lot of people shared of mine years ago when I used to like only do Bethesda games, which was like when I told people I was playing some JRPG, they're like, oh, you play different games? And I feel like you're going to get like a similar reaction when people see you like doing, I did VR in this really old Total War game.
Yeah, no, I tend to play totally different genres like in my free time.
That's what I do because like we for example, talk Fallout a lot, play Fallout a lot for our content that when I sit down to game, it's like I want to do something completely separate from that so that I'm fresh for when I sit behind the mic. So I don't know if you have that same mindset.
Yeah, pretty much. I play a lot of like strategy games. I feel like when I'm not.
What was that? You cut out. Sorry.
Oh, I said I play a lot of strategy games. Like normally when I'm not filming or making videos, because I feel like it's like the opposite genre.
No, it definitely is. No, it definitely is. All right. Karak, you played Final Fantasy. And
yeah, Final
anything else?
Fantasy. Funny enough, we did a big Discord thing of Contractors, which is another shooter, VR shooter. So we did about 15 hours of that in a row, which that's bad on the back, let me tell you. That took about 2 days to finally have my back like feel good. And then we did we actually did do Pavlov as well. And I think that's all because of Half-Life, because Half-Life's so good. So like it was very enjoyable. But then I jumped back into the Walking Dead one that I was talking to you about. The VR Walking Dead, which is like, I mean, it's a full game. You know, it's a little bit like there's not a lot of full game experiences on VR. There are more, but it's still a little, you know, a little hit and miss. And then I did Civilization Revolutions. Do you guys remember that one?
Oh yeah.
The old, yeah. I just randomly, I have no clue, because I do just go through Steam and go, sounds good, and have no clue what the game is. I remembered what that one was. It is, and there's a randomizer I have where you can sign in with your account, and then, you know, random, it'll pick a Steam game. Oh, so I've been doing that a bunch, and then a shit ton of free MMOs. Like, we played so much Star Trek Online, and so we played Neverwinter, we did DCU. Like, it's been more gaming now than I think I ever experienced in a long time. And not because of the isolation. It's just, once I came off Final Fantasy, and even right before it, I was like, you know, might be fun to do this stuff. Final Fantasy was actually the short part of that, really.
Yeah.
I mean,
28
to 38 hours, yeah. I think I was 37 when I got done, and that was after going back and testing, you know, graphical options and stuff.
Yeah. I never got a chance to watch your review. Did you end up liking it? Did you, like, recommend it?
I did, but I mean, you know, I want to say that Final Fantasy it shouldn't be judged on some bad textures. I was pretty hard on the game because graphically there are some fucking weird things going on in that game.
I know, yeah.
Like legit brain teasers, especially if you know anything about how the graphics engines are handled. You're like, why is that texture? Look, I personally feel that it might be bugs. But other than that, dude, I really enjoyed it. Like, the ending we won't talk about,
gosh.
but
I made a whole video talking about it.
That's the thing is, for me, I'm okay. It's 28 years old, so most people weren't even swimming in their daddy's sack when this game came out. The average age of the gamer is actually lower than that. Mm-hmm. So to me, it's okay that they did something different, and I like what I think they're going towards, if that makes sense.
Let me say something that I said in my video that's going live later today, and let me see if you feel the same way. Maybe you don't feel the same about the movies, but the idea of it. So when I finished Final Fantasy VII Remake, I was like, I felt how I felt when I walked out of the theaters after Star Wars Episode 7. I was like, this is good framework. I like where we're heading here. You're just kind of afraid of what a lot of people have deemed the Episode 8, where they follow it up, and you're like, this wasn't what I wanted, though.
Yeah. No, that's exactly. I'm totally. I just don't get caught up. It's like you and I might get caught up in KOTOR the way people are caught up in Final Fantasy.
Yeah,
I
get that.
Right?
Yeah.
And I get that. So I took that into the review, but basically what I stated at the end is, if you're an old fan, this might be what you're thinking. And if you're a brand new fan, you won't really... There won't be any level of contention. You'll just be confused. You'll be like, wait, what? So, yeah, I mean, I liked the battle system. I thought it was fun. Mm-hmm. Graphically, there were some really cool parts, though. And I sort of dug the... I didn't love the quests, but the side quests, there was enough of them that I could skip ones if I was like, I don't want to do this. I passed a couple, you know, when it's like, hey, if you go to the next chapter, you're going to lose these side quests. There was a couple times where I did that, where I had 3 or 4 still left, and then other times where I did as many as I wanted. I never felt, you know how sometimes you're like, I'll just do this quest because it's here.
Yeah.
To me, I'm pretty organic in the reviews, and I was just like, I'll just play what I play. And yeah, I had a good time. I liked all the characters. And Tifa, Jesus Christ.
Everyone's been
now
saying
I get it. Dude.
Everyone's been saying that.
I think I've told you, I think there's only 2 characters in my life I've ever found attractive in a video game because they're not people to me. It just doesn't even equate. Longest Journey, Chloe. That was years and years ago. And then, dude, Tifa shows... my wife was like, damn! And that's when I was like, all right, I can probably
My girlfriend was the opposite. She's like, she's not even realistic. And I was in the same ballpark as her. I was like, yeah, I agree. Like,
she's not at all, and in no way, shape, or form does that bother me.
Just can't buy into that fiction, you know?
I buy into it.
I need a little reality there. All right, yeah, I enjoyed it a lot too. It was one of those games that once I wrapped up, I was just like, okay, I really like this. I'm going to recommend it. But as the days went on after my review went live, I liked it more than probably what I could have said in my review, which was weird.
Gotcha.
I usually don't have that. But I felt like I gave it a sufficient enough, like, go buy it, to make sure people were aware it was good. But as time went on, it wasn't even like my brain was weeding out the bad. Like, I agree with you. The textures, not good. But some of the side quests felt throwaway. But I just really liked what they tried to do, and especially the attention they gave to the characters. I thought they were pretty faithful and did what they had to do, which was just give more room for exploration. Like, I felt they lived up to their word, which you don't see that often.
I do agree with that completely. Yeah.
And the combat, the only thing I didn't like about it, before we move on, is like you get staggered back a lot, you get knocked back a lot.
Yes, you do.
And when you're playing as this fucking badass who's handling a sword twice the size of his body with one arm, you kind of are hoping that when he gets knocked down, there's like a mechanic to roll out and get up a little faster and get into the action. But it seems like everything in that game just knocks you down, and then you're down on the ground for a sec. People who've been listening for a while will know this is what I said about Jump Force. You're playing as all these fucking anime characters that are like the most powerful in their respective universes, but yet when one of them gets hit, they just lay on the ground for like an hour.
Yeah, they don't have the most basic anime move that you've seen. I will say, like, it does. It looks like he took like a 1957 fender off of the back of a car and sharpened it, right? So he's got this, but the problem is that is what's weird. He swings it fast, but his block is the slowest. I could fucking play another game in the time that dude takes to guard himself. Yeah. So when you do try to do a counter or whatever, you're like, whoa. And then you go to Punisher mode, which is even slower. And you're just like, oh my God, what is wrong with this guy? Yeah, it's still, in the end, it played out. It played out well. Combat was pretty easy. I do feel that it certainly wasn't on the difficult side.
I think I died once. So,
yeah,
and I went to hard mode and it carried everything over. I was just like, all right, this is still pretty easy.
Yeah, I only checked out hard mode for a bit. You mean when you beat it, that hard mode, not just the normal? Yeah, difficult. So that didn't seem like it was going to magically change some of the stuff in it. Yeah. So,
all right, let's move on to Wastelanders. So a new trailer came out. We've had drip feeds of info for weeks now. It got a slight delay, but here we are in the launch window for what looks to be Bethesda's chance to bounce back after a pretty rough launch. It was one of the main reasons I wanted to get JuiceHead on, because, I've talked about it pretty frequently on my channel. I know he has as well, but I really wanted to get you to like just go all in on it. Like, where are you with this expansion? Are you excited? And what have you picked up on it? Just go all out, man.
I'm excited. I'm like cautiously optimistic, I guess. I don't know. I think I'm at the point where I don't really have I think I expect there to be something I don't like, or like that I'm like, really? Like, you had to do that? So I don't think I could be that disappointed, but I don't know. Bethesda has found a way to shock me still with this game, so I don't know. I mean, it looks cool based off what we've seen. It looks like there'll be hours of fun content. I don't know how many, but at least a couple.
That's one thing they've been vague on, right? They haven't even told us how long this is going to be. And another question I get a lot is like, how are there going to be new trophies and achievements? And I don't know if that's been answered or not, but those are like
I don't know.
The top two I get is there new trophies, achievements, how long it is. If I were to ballpark it, I'd say like 20 hours, 30 hours of new content, but Bethesda might stretch that number out eventually because you can repeat events and stuff. But what did you think of the new trailer? I know you made a video with like 20 things you may have missed, but were you happy with what they showed there? Because there was like cool reveals, like the jetpack without power armor.
Yeah. I thought that was really good, that trailer. Like, just it got me hyped for it. But also, I thought it was really interesting. If you see the like to dislike on that trailer, it was not horrible, which was surprising for Fallout 76, and it's like the most liked Wastelanders trailer they've had yet. Yeah, which I was really, because it was, I don't know, I think when I looked, it was 5,000 likes and only like 500 dislikes, which that's way really better than like the 50-50 normally it is for them. But no, I really like the trailer. They also had, did you see today, they had all the gameplay, and IGN just posted gameplay too.
Are you serious?
Yeah, they had like the developer, I think it's called like a dev dive they posted today, and it was the developers like fought the Wendigo Colossus and like explained some in-game system, and then IGN, as part of like the preview thing, Bethesda sent them footage, so they posted that, and it shows like Dynamite from New Vegas is coming back and stuff like that, which is cool. Yeah. But no, I mean, I'm excited for it.
The only thing that sucks is if it's a part of like the IGN first program or whatever, then there's no shot we can touch it, because I've done that once. It was with Mafia, and they just immediately ripped my video down. Like they.
No, I think it was like Bethesda sent them like B-roll, but they didn't know what to do with it. So the dude just like kind of talks about it, about playing it for a little bit, and just puts the gameplay randomly in the background.
Oh, okay. Then that probably would be free reign.
Yeah, I think I imagine all the outlets got it. I assume.
You would hope, yeah. It's just it's interesting because you and I were looking at some of those like previews that were coming out, and they were getting like no attention. Like it feels like this update, and I understand why, right? Like it's Fallout 76, but it's very shocking that you don't see a lot of media talk around it when it's kind of answering the bell on what a lot of people have been complaining about for a while with 76. Like it could stand to be this bounce back. And when you look at other games like Anthem, anytime they take a shit, there's a new story. No Man's Sky especially, you know, people wanted that to bounce back. I just don't see that same approach to Bethesda, which is I found kind of interesting.
And especially because it's like, so far at least, there hasn't really been any negative reception after someone played. Like it's been like more like I think IGN was like, biggest complaint was that the vanilla Fallout 76 is still there.
Yeah.
But like overall, out of all those previews, they all seem pretty positive. I don't know.
Yeah, and that was what was good. I think one thing that a lot of people would probably gloss over was some of the German sites we were looking at was like, one guy was like clearly a big Fallout 76 fan.
Yeah,
you know,
some of them you could tell. I was like, all right.
Yeah, you just got to be safe with that because, you know, 76 it has like this very dedicated slice
that
of fans.
hardcore group.
Yeah, which is good, but at the same time, like when you're reading reviews from them, got to be cautious. Karak, did you have a chance to check out anything Wastelanders?
Give me just 1 second. I'm going to shut this dude up. He's driving me nuts, and I just want to make sure. Give me just 1 second. I can see
the building frustration.
Yeah.
I'm going to either answer the question or I'm going to attack the dog.
All right. So I did not. I will say there's probably, I'm just guessing, but I think the reason why maybe there's not a lot of reaction is, and this is something I've noticed, you guys were talking about CPM, but I've also noticed just with videos, all my videos as a whole, is that viewership is a little weird. And it has been, especially since all this stuff has come. I think that with a lot of these games, there's a little bit of a risk adversity going on right now. And anybody I talked to about Fallout, we talked about it in the prior podcast, people were like, like they've sort of been there, done that. If it turns out good, if like other people say it's good, they might jump back in. So I think that might be why you don't see like a huge influx. And also,
to fall almost.
Yeah, and this is just me, but I think that at least what I felt with Fallout 76 is I didn't hate it as much as I was disappointed. I hated Anthem. And that's why you see videos on Anthem, I think, because it was a more active game, but it did shit with it. Where 76 looks like they're doing they're building it up. No Man's Sky did this. I mean, and that's what it feels like a lot, is like No Man's Sky. So I think you'll see people come back to it. It's just going to take people like you guys who cover this to say, in this time when financially there are people as a like value-based company or value-based channel, I hear people talking about it all the time. I'm like, dude, I don't have even $5. Like, I don't know where I'm going to be. I think they're waiting longer than they would prior. And people are pulling back psychologically. I mean, you can tell anywhere you go. So I don't think it's a ding on them. And it looks cool to me. It's what I've always wanted from this game, because I didn't jump into it because of lack of people in the first place. I was just like, makes no sense.
Yeah.
So every time you're talking about it in the podcast, I've just continually notched it up as like, this is the update I'm waiting for. And I think that's what's happening, is a lot of people are just waiting
if it actually ends up being good.
Yeah, and nobody really trusts IGN. I mean, we go to IGN because they have IGN first, but I could remove IGN and just have first, and I would still go there, if that makes sense. That's nothing against IGN. Well, it is, but you get my drift. We're interested in the content, not the website. I think once you guys cover it a little bit, though, people will definitely return. And it sounds like a good game in this time frame, too. Like, it could be a very cool, if all this adds content, it could be a very fun time, sort of a brain, get your brain out of your space kind of thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's the good news is for anyone who's listening and is interested. Like, I remember someone telling me just a couple of days ago on Twitter, like, they bought the game for $11 on PS4. Like, the game
Yes.
It's going to be an ESO situation where if they, or I should say it can be an ESO situation. I wasn't like in love with base ESO. I thought it was good enough where people shouldn't have like just taken a dump on it, but
I liked it.
Yeah, exactly. But they built up the game and it got way better when they started adding DLC. And that's why when I started to see like Gold Edition, which had like 4 DLC packs that I knew were really good after playing them, and it was like $15, $20. I remember making videos like, this is criminal that like no one's talking about how good this is. This is a great value.
And Tamriel 1 or whatever you called it.
Yeah, it started to embolden the playing together no matter what level you're at. And it seems like 76, because they're doing that, they don't have a name for it, but they are doing like a one Tamriel with Fallout 76. And then you're seeing Wastelanders kind of being a good framework where I could totally envision, and I don't want people to think I'm saying that this is going to happen, but I could totally envision in like a year from now, Juice and I are just sitting here like, how are people not taking advantage of the content there? And it might just be because the vanilla game, it exists, that's big. That's the biggest issue. And to attest to what Juice had said, we were reading IGN's preview and they like Wastelanders, but it's what's underneath it, which is the base game that kind of gets in the way. So we'll see if it does end up panning out. I saw that they expanded like the Gauss family of weapons. They have like it's not just the Gauss rifle. Like they have the shotgun, pistol, minigun. That shit's insane. Like I was so excited when I saw that because I don't know about you guys, but when I played like Fallout 3 in New Vegas, I don't know if it wasn't 3. I think it was.
Was the Gauss gun your fave?
Oh my God. It just was the most powerful feeling thing. And they were smart because when you shot it, the reload time was like that. So you could just get another round off, and it was very explosive. Like if you shot a Raider, all body parts are coming off. It just had that great feel. And I'm so happy that they're giving you like a shotgun with it.
That's like actually one of the big questions I have with this DLC. Because like they've kind of like alluded to it where some of the content, like I think you'll be able to like kill a dude, pick up his Gauss shotgun or whatever. Mm-hmm. But if you want to get the plan to actually craft it yourself, or if you want and I think you need the plan to like get the legendary version, which towards the late game, like only the legendary versions are relevant. You have to do like very grindy stuff. And it's like daily quests where it's like specifically a time limited thing. Like every 24 hours you do this and you get a little chunk further. So I wonder how big of a effect that'll be. Like once you play all the main story and all the fun parts, how many weeks of grinding will I have to do to actually like permanently get all those weapons for myself?
That's a very good point.
They showed that somewhat today where it's like this gold bullion thing where they don't get explicit, but it's like, oh, the high tier, like the new power armor, you unlock it with the gold bullion system. So I'm like, all right, so how many gold bullions can I earn a day? Like it seemed like there'll be a limit on that, and then I'm going to be sitting here grinding that, and then grinding faction reputation.
So
that is a true MMO currency. Yeah. That's what it sounds like.
Because they have caps, they have atoms now, and they have gold bullion. So do you know what else? Because I hadn't seen the stuff that you were talking about for today. So do you know what the gold bullions do as well?
It's basically I don't know. It was kind of weird because they show a little video of it, and like I'm pretty sure the video is in the like Vault 79, which is like to me I was like, this is kind of a spoiler, but
yeah.
and I was like, why are you showing? But whatever. But basically they're at a vendor that only accepts gold bullions, and it's how you get the plans for all the like high tier, like the Gauss pistol was there, the plasma caster was there. And then I assume like some of the new they don't scroll all the way down like purposely, but I think that's going to be a thing because they specifically
the weapons were there. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you. You mean the weapons were there, or the plans for the weapons?
The plan for the weapon.
Okay. I just want to make
Which
sure.
like based on how it works right now in game, like you could go kill a bunch of enemies, or like with the whole legendary purveyor thing where it's like gambling for legendary items. The only way you could get that DLC weapon to drop is if you know the plan. Like so I don't know. I have a feeling.
Okay, I just read up on this. So it says, with Wastelanders, we're adding gold bullion as a new type of currency you'll be introduced to through the main story quests. You'll be able to trade gold bullion to NPC vendors in exchange for a variety of plans to craft new weapons, armor, and other items. So they say introduced, which obviously means like you'll get a couple for doing those main quests.
Yeah.
But I agree. Just looking at this right now, it actually does look like diamonds in normal MMOs, where they have like gold, silver, fucking diamonds, and then you crush them and turn them into, a rosebud, and then you transform that into, there's always these 85 different exchange. That is what it looks like. I'm at the Bethesda article website.
Can you buy them? No, right?
I don't
know. It doesn't look. It does not look like it. It says trade vendors in exchange for main story quests and be introduced to main story quests. Okay. Introduced via main story quests.
With like the whole legendary script thing, which you get a legendary weapon, you could break it down into script, and then you could go to the purveyor and get a different legendary. That has a limit of, I think it's 200 per day.
I put it in the Discord, by the way.
So I don't know, just the fact that they put like limits, like time limits on shit before, I assume they're going to continue it because they want people sticking around after this deal. So, and then same thing, they have daily quests for the factions, where like in the video today, the guy's like, if you want the yummy reward, or that's literally what he said, if you want the yummy rewards from the faction vendor, you have to have the highest faction reputation. The way you increase your faction reputation, do a daily quest. So that my question, all right, I beat the whole game. How many days am I going to have to take to actually get to the max level? Like, is it a week? Is it a month? Is it 2 days? I don't know.
It's already hurting my soul a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, the only thing that sucks about that is because like Fallout's about like the choice, the consequence. I'm going with the Raiders, and yet they're giving you the option to just finish the story on whatever side and then do daily quests for like, we'll say 2 weeks, and then the Raiders suddenly are like your best friends or your
exactly.
I guess the settler side makes more sense that they're not going to shoot you. They're like, okay, we can forgive this guy, but with the Raiders, I'm going to be, unless they write them in a very specific way where they seem like humble badasses almost, then maybe I can understand them forgiving me. And
do you know how most MMOs do it? They do write it that way. They write it as the people who respect battle ability. So you're able to kill them because they'll be like, you are an amazing fighter. Even though you killed my brother, I'll give you my major crafting sword. And you're just like, come on, jackass. Like, none of this makes sense. Yeah, that is what it looks like. I mean, it legitimately, that's what that link looks like, all that's happening. So we'll have to see how it plays out.
That's interesting because I thought they would account for your choices more when they introduced the Blood Eagles, which were like this universally bad Raider faction that was going to attack you no matter what choices he made. I was like, okay, so they're going to have Raider NPCs to fight no matter what. So shouldn't that make it where whichever side you go on, I don't know. I think they would have been better. I don't want to speak too much, I guess, on it just because who knows when I play the story, but it almost would have been better if it wasn't like settlers and raiders, but like two different factions of settlers, because at that point,
they call them the Blood Eagles?
Yes.
Yeah.
Really? That's... Do you know what that is? The Blood Eagle? It's a Viking killing tradition where you cut a person open and you spread their skin out so that it's in a blood eagle. It looks like an eagle and it leaves them alive, so they slowly die. That just seems really harsh. Does that fit the Raiders? Because when you said Blood Eagles, I'm like, damn, that's going there. Okay, well, cool. I mean, that could actually be cool if they're that kind of character, because Vikings also were, respect of combat ability. So maybe that's what they'll do.
Yeah, like I was saying, I don't know, maybe they will end up thinking they might have been better off with like two different settlers, so that you could just have Raiders be universally like something you attack and you can account for the choices, but we'll see. Because the thing is I would have been like, okay, it's an MMO space, we can't account for that choice, but we've seen like SWTOR does it, they do exactly what 76 is doing. They put you in this like isolated area where your choice counts for your character, and you do influence the story. Even if like you and your friends go and play the next quest together, the cutscene when you enter that room accounts for the choice made previously. ESO's done it. Like I just feel like these instance choices are possible, where I'm going to be curious to see why Bethesda chose to, I don't want to say not make your choices count, but not like lock out some content. And because I think inherently it would kind of encourage you to like go make a second character and be like, I'm going to be the Raider this time. I mean, I guess it's good that you can do it all in one file. That's sort of what people really actually liked about Fallout 4, although I did not. Like, I wanted to miss things because I made certain choices, but other people, I remember, always said to me in my videos, were like, I'm actually really happy that I can be this level 200 character that did, like, literally everything. Like, I don't want to start over again. So I understand both sides, but
No, I think I prefer the missing, because then you replay it.
exactly.
Like, that's why I would want to replay it for those other little things. I don't know.
Yeah, because at that point, you know, then you can get into builds with Fallout 76, and you might see more diversity there. That's the only thing I'm nervous about, because when I was playing Nuclear Winter,
Nervous of can you explain that again?
Well,
Nervous about what? The lack
that's what I
of
was gonna
diversity coming up?
No, because what I was going to get
sorry.
into is my personal build, because when I was playing Nuclear Winter, I was in the middle of retooling my character because I played survival mode and I was a melee build. I was melee, and I'm like, I'm so fucked because I was literally getting killed from a mile out, which I couldn't do anything about. My guns did no damage. My melee weapons did a lot more, but getting close to someone, I didn't have like chameleon armor. So I'm in the middle. I have this like mid-tier build. Like, everything's evened out right now because I was in the process of literally just like tipping the scales. And so what I'm nervous about is when I go into Wastelanders, my weapons were like in flux. You know, I have like some melee, some guns. Like, I was in the middle of this character transformation. So that's why I'm nervous, but I'm also a little excited because I'll actually get good XP, and maybe I can finish that build and kind of catch the end of the story on the upswing. What level are you, by the way? Like, I think I'm level like 79 or 80 or something like that. Like, I'm
no
not very
idea.
high. Yeah, I'm not very high compared to
I'm
other
like
people.
1 something, but
Oh,
I'm
jeez.
not.
All right, that's pretty high.
But it's not really matter because, like, I think I hit level 50, and then like I didn't really ever change my. So like right now it's like, oh, you have 30 unused perk points. Spend them on something. So yeah, I don't know. I've just been waiting, but I don't really mess around with my build too much. I think I did once, and I just left it ever since then.
Yeah, that's the thing, is there's, at least from what I know, and you could probably correct me, there's not like an item you can use that just like sets you to 0 and
No,
lets you retool.
It's especially the higher you get, it gets increasingly frustrating. It's 1 level up, you can move 1 special point.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
So if you're like a high level, like a dude that's level 150, if you want to move 10 points, that's like kind of a considerable investment now.
Yeah, that's what happened to me. I mean, I wasn't as high of a level, but I stopped playing Fallout 76 after my review. Nuclear Winter came out, and I was getting like a shit ton of XP, so I was leveling up, and I thought, this is a good time to start switching it all over.
Yeah.
And then they got rid of the fucking survival mode, which I understand why. It was a smart choice, and I was like, all right, I guess I'm just gonna leave it now because there's nothing to build for, and we didn't know about Wastelanders at the time. But yeah, man, it's so close. We're 4 days away as we record this. Do you have any like extra content planned for it, or are you just gonna kind of like see what happens when we play it? Because that's what I was thinking. Is like, do we do weapon guides? Do like
Well, that's
guides?
because like I plan to do like all guides and stuff, but I don't really know like if everything's gonna just be locked behind a grind. Like, it's not so much a guide. It'd be like a how do you get the most gold bullions, not how do you get the weapon. Like, you know how to get the weapon.
Yeah, because I was like thinking, like, obviously the pre-release stuff is like, here's what we know so far, like here's a story summary, like that type of stuff is easy to put together for people hopping in. It's just after the fact, you know, it could be a lot like Fallout 4, where it's just like follow the waypoint and finish the quest and you will get rewarded. So I think you're on the money, where it's going to probably, for us content wise, it's probably going to be more of like the intricate like farming methods and ways to build up plans or these bullions. I still have to read up on them. When did they drop? That was earlier today, you said?
Yeah, it was like 11, 12-ish.
Wow.
I don't know.
Wow. I was on my phone too. I don't know how I missed this.
Yeah, well, because it's normally the thing they post on Thursdays, but I guess they delayed it for whatever. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I'm just surprised actually they didn't have any details on like actual launch, because like they haven't talked about this, but like a preload or so, like I don't know how big of a download this will be, but typically the way this works for like all the past Fallout 76 updates, it's like, all right, we're gonna take the servers down at 10 a.m. and then they'll come back up later. So like now is it gonna be with Wastelanders? You're just kind of sitting here all day. Like, I don't know when it's going to come back up. And then you also have to download 50 gigabytes in the middle of the day. Like for some people, you're not playing that day then.
Definitely not. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, because I just re-downloaded it on my PS4. That's where my main save file is. Otherwise, I'd probably play on PC. But and that's also where my friends are playing. And it was like 70-something gigabytes, 80-something gigabytes, and I was like, this is without Wastelanders, which I'm sure will be an easy 20, if not more.
Yeah, exactly.
And so it's gonna be my third over. Or, no, I'm sorry, it would be my second over 100 gigabyte game sitting on my 500 gigabyte hard drive for my PS4 because my external one just bit the dust. So I'm just kind of shit out of luck. I'm now that guy who just recycles games in their hard drive, like what they're playing like right now. Not like I'll play this in a week. Like if I'm playing in a week, I got to download it in a week, and it sucks because now download speeds are slowed on PS4.
Yeah, because I think it'll be like kind of a weird where everyone will just be like waiting, and it's like probably between 1 and 4 p.m. it'll go live. But you don't really know when I'm going to get, I assume. I don't know. They haven't said otherwise, so.
I remember they did the same thing with Fallout 4. Like, they would just announce the DLC release day, and they would not tell you when it was coming during the day.
Yeah, I remember that,
like,
actually.
Yeah, they just left you hanging. And it was for, like, the important ones. I was just like, I want to know. I want to see, I want to read this article. Is there anything else that you guys want to talk about Wastelanders-wise? Anything else crossing your noggins?
I don't think so. I think it's interesting how much we know. Like, I feel like the big question is more around the story. Like, we know all the things. Like, we know the weapons, we know the armors, we know the major in-game systems they're adding. But it's like the story part is still, we really don't know much about like major plot points or how, is it 40 hours? Is it 12 hours? I don't know.
Yeah, that's the thing is will it be more like a traditional Fallout game? And I guess because they're saying you can do both the Raider and the Settler quest line up until a certain point, so there is like a balance there, and then I guess in a final mission you make a choice, and that cuts you off on one way or another to some extent. So I guess you could say they might be deciding when they release those numbers, so we talk collectively if you do both or if you just do one side. And so
I have a question. Are you saying then that you guys they haven't even released info on how the humans suddenly are there?
Oh, you already know that. There's like a treasure that's rumored in Appalachia, and
people start coming in.
People start coming in because they flee.
Okay, cool.
The reason they weren't there, I put this in quotes because it's obviously like a technical reason, but the reason they weren't there is because of the scorched plague, and so they all like fled, and now they're coming back.
Oh, okay, cool.
A year later. It takes place a year later, which is why like you're gonna see NPCs fill out some parts of the world, and it'll be interesting for some people because they literally probably haven't played the game in a year. So when they come back, it actually is different. It's gonna be a little different it's gonna be a little more interesting for them. I saw that.
I think.
Sorry, go on.
I was gonna say I'm actually interested in that now because to me that makes the story have a possibility of being quite interesting where they're new as well. So you know how it is where you always go in and everybody's like, hi, I'm Bill and I've been here for 12 years and I know Susie. So if you fuck a chicken over here, we're going to know over here. And you're just like, come on. Like you get these weird lore issues. So the idea that everybody's new, there's a danger there too. I love that because you may not know like where somebody might be because they're just flooding this. This is actually, I actually find that more interesting now than I have since we started talking about it, just knowing that the idea that like everybody's coming in new, because I didn't know what they were going to do. I mean, I thought Bethesda may just be like, humans are there. That's it. Welcome. Yeah. So the idea that they're doing that kind of story makes it interesting to me. That's very cool.
They also are adding, I forgot to mention this, they're adding a new soundtrack from Einon Zur, the guy who's done the Fallout soundtracks for a while, that's exciting to me because I really like his work. For those who are not familiar with him, like I said, past Fallout games, he's also done, I'm pretty sure, Dragon Age before. He's got a very rustic, bassy, not bassy, that's not the right word, but he's got an interesting sound that no one else really has, and I think he captures Fallout pretty well. Yeah, look at this Raider Daily Quest. It's wow, it specifically says Raider Daily Quest and Reputation. I'm just kind of glossing over this veteran outfit rewards.
Oh yeah, that's kind of cool. It's just if you played the game before Wastelanders, you get a free outfit.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's like there's nothing. It's like a decent looking outfit. It's like just a nice little. Actually, under that is pretty cool. They show where you won't be able to place your camp. So
yeah, I saw them post that earlier today. I thought that was all they posted.
But so like seemingly those are all locations getting edited or new stuff, and it's like a pretty full map. Like there's a lot of locations that are getting changed seemingly based on. They actually said in one of the videos they added. I don't know what they said. They had 40 new locations with this DLC, which I assume some of those are really small because that's a lot. But
but it would also explain why they delayed it so far. This was supposed to come out like when? November, I think, was originally.
It was just fall, I think, technically.
Oh, yeah. No, November was Doom. Sorry, yeah, you're right. And,
Yeah.
And we all thought that with fall coming to a close soon, that Bethesda had to get it within that month. And yeah, they've pushed it back a couple of times. Obviously, one was sort of out of their hands with this virus, but
Yeah.
They seem to have taken their time. Where I wouldn't be shocked if there was a ton of content. Yeah, this is a pretty full article. I got to cover this. This is ridiculous. I can't believe I missed this. This is wild.
Well, it's been what a year, I think. Basically, they've worked on this like from when they actually started to work on it. So I mean, it should be pretty big. I think I'm almost more excited for the next big DLC.
Yeah.
Like now that they have all the systems in place, like I bet that'll be like
what can they do with it kind of thing.
Yeah, and like I bet it would just be a more meaty story experience. Like they don't have to create the entire dialogue system. Now they have that. You just build.
That's a good point. Yeah, that's kind of where I stood on it. Was this is exciting because of a good framework. I think
exactly.
they can build off of it, and that's where they'll probably start to gain traction because they'll be able to. They've answered, I think, the biggest critique of the game. Which by the way, I don't believe them for a goddamn second when they said at PAX they were like, we originally weren't considering at all adding NPCs to the world.
That's crazy.
I'm just like, what do you mean? Like, what the hell do you mean? There were so many people who would just buy the game just because they knew that it'd be in there. So I don't believe them for a second. But they did say back at E3 that like year one was about, I think, rebuilding or something like that.
Yeah.
And then year 2 is about everyone returning. So this is going to be, for those who are interested in Wastelanders, it's not just going to be this expansion and they're done. They're going to do probably a roadmap if they're able to create one due to the virus, if they can actually work from home properly and get content out, which hopefully with the PTS that is a little more possible because they don't have to send it externally as in like other companies to directly test it and QA it.
They did say post Wasteland. I think they said that public. I'm pretty sure. I know what they're doing post Wastelanders is smaller, more regular updates. So I don't know when the next big one will be, but like I know it's going to be Wastelanders. Then like probably every couple weeks or month they have like a new feature, like the legendary player set, whatever.
Yeah, that's what sucks about E3 getting shut down is I think it would make once it started to come up a little more exciting because it's April now. Let's say it was released this past week because let's say the virus didn't exist. We played through and we could just see in a couple of months what they're bringing to the table next. I imagine that's when we could see some type of roadmap. So now Bethesda's saying, oh, well, we're not even doing a digital showcase. We're just going to announce shit when we want to, which as someone who talks a lot about Bethesda on their channel, I'm sure you feel the same. It's like, well, fuck, I don't got any game plan now. So it's going to be a bumpy ride for sure.
Yeah, it should be interesting. I'm curious, like, if we just don't hear anything until like August, September now.
Oh God, that would be so bad because it would be like, finally, and then just radio silence.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm crossing my fingers. Cyberpunk still looking strong. So
yeah, and we'll be talking about that in a little bit, just because if you guys want to move on, we've got a little Obsidian to talk about.
Whichever, man. I'm good with whichever.
All right, let's do it. Okay, so Obsidian, just, as always, when Bethesda's making a big announcement, Obsidian makes one as well. This one does not seem to be able to overshadow Wastelanders, though. They confirmed that Grounded is coming to Xbox Game Preview and Steam Early Access in July. I have an article here from Eurogamer that I just wanted to gloss over because they released a new trailer. And they also did an Inside Xbox where there's like 40 minutes of gameplay where if anyone's curious, you can get a really good look at Grounded. But like I said, this gloss over says, here we're introduced to a talking robot companion who will guide the player through their survival-driven adventures, built around the usual genre staples of exploration, crafting, and base construction, albeit with a big bug twist. Because for those who don't know, Grounded's pretty much you're these shrunken down humans in a backyard. There's also hints of a weirdly advanced high-tech civilization among the inches high shrubbery. That's good writing. Said to be a mysterious evil force whose real aim will be revealed at Grounded's action progresses. Although Obsidian insists story is a real focus and has helped inform the world's lived-in and alive design, Grounded's plot won't have an end when it arrives this summer. Instead, the developer says it hopes to get community feedback in order to bring things to a satisfying conclusion around Grounded's early access launch on Steam, Xbox One, and Windows 10 Store, as well as PC and console Game Pass on July 28th. So yeah, if you're a Game Pass owner, you also get in on this. Are we still interested in this at all?
I was just thinking that. I was like, I feel like Grounded is a game I followed only because it's
right.
Like if it was a different company, I don't think I would be super interested with. I don't think I'll make many more video. It looks fun. I'll probably play it just because I think it'd be fun to mess around with. Especially it's on Game Pass, right? I'll play it for that reason. But I mean, it looks cool. I don't know. I'm not like super hyped for it though.
Karak, what about you?
Looks like Sea of Ants.
Yeah, it does actually.
Everyone always says, "Honey, I Shrunk the Kids." That's what I hear.
It looks like that too, but it looks like Sea of Thieves with ants. I mean, that's like so. I'll definitely play it if it's good. It's good. But what I saw, because we did sit through the videos and check, didn't really light my fire. The end part where it's like, you know, there's some ancient civilization living out in your yard nobody figured out until you shrunk down was weird. But whatever, you know, it'll be cool. It's just I'm not really into those games though, to be honest. Like I've definitely noticed as more and more have come out, I don't stick with them very long. I don't like I find myself just, you know, going in, playing with some friends and then popping out again. Yeah. They don't hold my interest as much.
Yeah, I like you said, I feel like I wouldn't have given a damn if I didn't know it was from Obsidian, which that kind of in turn makes me a little more curious, like what pushed them to create a small team to work on this sort of passion project.
Yeah.
Do they foresee it just growing over time and being a good place to make some money, or do they have a genuine idea? I like the inspired design behind like a shrunken down human in a backyard and some type of advanced civilization. I think that could be kind of cool. But I don't know if it'll ever catch fire because they kind of... I think the timing of the announcement wasn't smart because when they did reveal it, it was after Microsoft had acquired them and it was their first announcement since the Microsoft acquisition, and everyone's kind of waiting for them to show off their AAA game. You know, their big AAA exclusive with Xbox that some have said like it's going to be their version of Skyrim. Because I studied some job listings in a previous video of mine this week, and a lot of them mentioned like first person combat, and a couple of sources were just like, yeah, it's supposed to be like a fantasy style, like their Skyrim thing. But I was also thinking like, why would you do the Outer Worlds 1 and then just drop it when it was really successful? Because I feel like there's a lot more to explore in that universe. I mean, I wouldn't be mad if they just kind of left it, because then it'd just sort of be almost like a cult classic in a way. You just have this one entry sitting there that was really good, and you can always go back to whenever you want. But I think that's what everyone's been waiting for.
Actually, with that game, like whatever happened with DLC? I feel like it's been a while.
Yeah, the game came out in October. It has been long enough.
Because they confirmed it's like happening, but because I thought for sure at the Game Awards we'd get something.
Yeah, right. That's what I thought, like a trailer or just something. I doubt they'd come out and show a picture, but I was very, very surprised, especially when they were on like the Game of the Year list.
Exactly.
They would definitely have a presence. So I'm with you. I was very surprised by that. And when they announced the Switch version, I'm like, now's a good time.
Yeah.
Still nothing. And then they announced the Switch version again. This time it's coming out in June. Still nothing. I was like, what is going on with... I'm starting to think it's not just DLC though. I'm starting to think it's like a very big expansion, because
I wanted to say, didn't they say it was smaller though? Which maybe I'm just remembering wrong, but I thought that was like a pre-Outer Worlds interview. They were like, oh, we don't know, maybe we'll do something. I thought, I don't know.
Yeah, I remember one thing I did see when it came to DLC is they were saying, oh, we were going to add some science weapons in. I was like, okay, like that's something you can get out in a couple months easily.
Yeah, exactly.
Test them out, make sure they're not busted, make sure they're fun, and don't break the game and just release them. And I thought they were going to do like weapon packs just to, I don't know, spice up the gameplay because it's definitely not the strongest part of the game. And then they just like went on radio silence. And I'm surprised because I keep seeing stats coming out. Like I just saw it sold 2 million copies on top of whatever Game Pass did. And it's like, that's insane success. So there's a player base there and it's still growing where I don't know, especially when their latest announcement is what we just talked about. They showcased or grounded and when it's coming out, and you've just got to wonder like how big it is or how small it is, or if they're even still doing it, or if they're capable of doing it now with what's happened with the virus, if that's slowed it down. But I just feel like it's been long enough. And
because I feel like at this point, if they release like a smaller DLC, is it like worth it? Like to not just go on to the next game instead if it's not a bigger expansion? I feel like a lot of people have kind of moved on.
Exactly. At this point, if they announced it, it's been 6 months since, a little bit under, since it launched, and in half a year people would probably be like, why let's say they come out and they're like, yeah, we added decorating your ship, and a few weapons are going to be new drops on enemies, and we added 2 quests. I feel like, what the no.
Yeah, it's like I'm not going to re-download for that. I don't know.
Exactly. So I'm assuming since they've taken so long, it would be bigger. Like they'd add a new planet to explore. It would add like 10 hours of gameplay. That'd be nice. Actually, 10 hours might be asking a lot because the game itself is like 30 hours.
Yeah, it's not that long.
Yeah, but that'd be something I'd be happy with. But we'll see in due time.
Well, they have the documentary. Wait, why can't I can't think of the word all of a sudden.
Documentary.
Yeah, documentary. I don't know what just with No Clip.
Yeah.
Right? They have that stuff coming out right now. But they have, I think it's 3 parts, I'm pretty sure. So, I don't know. Maybe that'll give insight to what's going on. I don't know.
That's a good point. That's the thing, is that it's not like, I remember pre-Fallout 76, people were trying to figure out like what it was, and they were looking at the No Clip documentary, and you could see like the guy with the Mothman shirt on, the guy we met at the 76 event, funny enough. And, I just don't know if the Outer Worlds has enough attention where like people appreciate the game and want to learn more from it. But in the terms of looking for DLC, I think it's kind of like what Karak said, like a wait and see sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly.
For a lot of people, where they're not as deeply invested as us, where we're like, give us more.
Yeah.
Karak, are you looking forward to any more Outer Worlds AAA?
Yeah, projects? And I'll play the fuck out of the Switch version, dude.
Oh yeah.
The one thing I'm bothered a little bit by when you guys were talking about downloads is that not only is speed an issue, but everybody I know aside from me, because I pay for business internet, has caps. So there's that as well. But I think I would like to see, and I assume they might say, hey, here's the Switch version, then here's some DLC right at the same time. Because that's just, like you guys said, we're getting to the point to where announcing anything is going to seem a little odd. But I also do believe, at least the little bits I'm hearing, is that Microsoft is now telling everybody to sort of calm down because of not only the release dates for themselves, but also competitors. And they're sort of trying to figure out long game. We won't see a big console release. However, what we could see is that some of these things get shuffled a little bit so they can say Xbox better on an Xbox X series or Series Xbox X. Don't know why. We're all having problems talking. It's fucking been a long
week. My turn next. It's my turn next.
Yeah, it'll be your turn next. I could see some of these games, because we saw Cyberpunk for no real reason just said that yesterday. There wasn't a real reason for them to talk about how they were releasing the game. We're way early, and then they suddenly say that, which makes me wonder if some of these companies are talking behind the scenes and like, all right, let's pace these out and let's do this and that. And I just can't wait, because, dude, I like the shorter game. I liked Outer Worlds because I could touch it, jump into it. I didn't feel lost. It didn't feel too big. It was just boom. And I will play the shit out of the Switch version.
It had a great
very
focus.
much so.
It really did. Like
it did, man.
Was one of the,
it did.
One of the better directed experiences that I've had, where it's like open enough to explore, but honestly it's our bread and butter, because it's a lot like Knights of the Old Republic, where it's just
Yeah.
these
Hub instead
hubs.
of huge open.
I just feel I flourish in those types of games. Like Dishonored's
Me
another
too.
good example. I feel like that game just clicks mentally with me, where I'm like, yeah, this feels right. Like I feel at home here. And
There was also enough weird shit, Maddie, because you said you did shit in the main city or the main planet with the technological planet. I can't remember the name
Byzantium?
of it. In outer Byzantium, thank you. You did some stuff I didn't do. So
Yeah.
obviously, even with a smaller game, you were able to, get your role-playing chops in a different way than I was. So, I mean, to me, it was just perfect.
Yeah,
man.
the
It just worked.
only flaw that game really had was early on they kind of had your stats pretty elevated in every way, and the speech checks were so low.
Yeah.
And
That's true.
and so I've wondered, because a lot of people really like the Outer Worlds and were like, we want more that's bigger and better. I've wondered sometimes with the DLC if it would ever be some type of like overhaul almost, where the game doesn't need to be drastically changed like story wise, but like raise the caps a little bit, so early game you're a little more rewarded if you are medically inclined or explosively inclined, and there was one stats in the attribute section, Karak, that you pointed out that was like useless, and I forget the name of it.
So do I, but I know exactly what you're
Yeah,
talking about.
and-
It made no sense that it was
Like
there.
it was, instead of making it so obvious that like you should go in this direction, but you can go in this direction even though it makes no sense. Like those types of choices I hate in games, because it's sort of like how they handle good. A lot of titles handle good and evil. It's like if you're the good guy, you're gonna get 5,000 gold. You're gonna get this flaming sword. Everyone's gonna fucking like you. Meanwhile, if you side with the bad guys, you get like 2,000 gold and you feel pretty badass. It's like, well, obviously I'm gonna go with the good people. That makes the most sense too. And so I would like for them to stray away from that design philosophy
Sure.
of like you can do both, rather than like here are two great choices. What are you gonna do? I would like that personally. Like there's the one part where you're on the what's the name of the ship that you go to after the first
Oh,
one?
yeah.
Something Hammer. I forgot what it's called. And when you go underneath, there's that psychotic guy with the flamethrower.
Yeah,
And you
right.
can
And
challenge
you
him
can
to a fight.
choose. Exactly.
But if you do, he kicks your ass. And like I remember that like took me 8 tries to actually get through. And granted, I was doing a Supernova Melee playthrough. That could have an influence, but my character was built pretty solidly. I had my squad with me, but I had like abused mechanics. And I was just like, why didn't they just make the fight a little more feasible here? I don't know. That's just me though. I felt like overall that game could use some touching up in the base game. And if they announced this sort of like definitive edition almost, if you will, not to re-release, but kind of like what we talked about with State of Decay with the Juggernaut edition, like here's some quality life enhancements, some subtle changes, some big ones too. That'd be pretty cool for that game. I think that'd be almost more exciting than just go to a new planet. That's just me. All right. We talked a little bit about Cyberpunk, so shall we hop into that, gentlemen?
Yep, for sure.
All right. So, like Karak said, Cyberpunk is doing what I think is a little posturing, saying they remain on track for September. So we're going to read an article from PC Gamer. There is no shortage of motivation, and we possess all the tools needed to facilitate remote work. We've been operating in this mode for over 3 weeks, and to date, results confirm that we can carry on with all our operations without major disruptions, CD Projekt Group President and CEO Adam Kaczynski said. Our plan hasn't changed. We're heading towards the September release of Cyberpunk. And now this article makes a very good point. It says it's impossible to say right now how optimism will hold up. September 17th is Cyberpunk's current release date. It's still far enough away that an on-schedule release date is feasible, but it's impossible to say at this point how the outbreak will progress. If developers are forced to continue to work from remote deep into the summer, it could force another delay in March, and then they bring up, for instance, Bethesda delayed the release of Wastelanders for a week because working from home had affected their ability to do final testing that they needed. And CD Projekt has a longer run-up to release, but Cyberpunk 2077 is much larger and more complex, meaning it would probably need more testing. And they also proceeded to let everyone know that The Witcher is sold. I don't think it's listed here, but it made a lot of money, a shit ton of money. Very good year overall, with sales overall up 44%, as The Witcher 3, which now 5-year-old, still continues to kill it. All right, so more importantly, is Cyberpunk apparently not getting delayed. Do you guys believe this at all? Like, do you think they're just kind of posturing?
Oh, I don't think it'll be delayed.
Yeah, I don't think it will. I mean, I don't know. They probably are pretty confident, but I mean, it depends obviously on what happens. But I think if they said that, they're probably pretty confident. Because also, it's important. That's from a financial conference.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Yeah.
So I feel like that almost carries a bit more weight in a way. It's not like just a press, or it's not just in a random interview somewhere. It's kind of a big stage.
Yeah, but I guess the way I look at it is, if it is set in a financial setting, do you think they're trying to assure them so that they don't lose investments whatsoever? I think they're a private company, so I don't know if that.
They're private.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
that might not influence anything. Okay. I the way I look at it is, I guess you have to consider where was the project at when they initially delayed it outside of April, right? Like, that's what I think of. Like, where were they then? Were they close to being done, where maybe now they're just putting polishing touches on it, and that's all they've got to do for the next 5 months or so, and that working remotely, that is possible even in that huge window. Like, maybe they could have gotten this out by, we'll say, July, but they're like, let's give ourselves till September. We know this game's going to kill it, so let's just give ourselves a lot of time and sharpen anything up we have to, and that extra time may be benefiting them now. I don't know. I don't know how everyone else can suffer these pushbacks, and yet Cyberpunk and CD Projekt Red are seemingly immune to that. I want it to come out in September, so don't get me wrong, but just I don't understand how they're
I
not gonna
think
be
it
impacted.
could be that maybe September wasn't like a necessity to push it there. Maybe they could have done like August, but September is more strategic. Like with the whole holiday push, and the new consoles shortly, well, hypothetically shortly thereafter. I don't know.
Yeah, that could be it too.
So like they have the time. They had plenty of time anyway.
Yeah, nah, that's probably more likely it. I'm probably just being depressing right now. I want to make sure I'm realistic with the situation, because I hope in my heart, like, please give it to me as soon as possible. But I don't know, man.
I think they also would love to be one of the, if not the biggest game in all of winter.
Yeah.
So to them, I'm sure they very much want to be released here. And there has been some other, and don't quote me on who, because I can't remember, but I am absolutely sure at a different point they stated they were pretty much done. And that what they were doing is a little bit like Last of Us, where they were in the bug fixing and polishing. And bug fixing and polishing, you're not adding stuff, so those are much more able to do remotely. That's what I used to do, was bug testing remotely. So the remote part could certainly happen now. I think they are affected though. But I think that to me, I took it as we are affected, so we're telling you that, yeah, we're affected, but it's not going to affect the end release date. They don't. I think people always want more data than really a company has to give. And so when we don't get it, we're like, there might be something else going on here. But it's like with these guys, they're just sort of like, yeah, I can see why you guys are worried, but there's no big issue. That's sort of just what I took from it. But I mean, dude, that thing's been in develop for a long time. A lot of that stuff has been done. It's been shown, remembering that it was shown. I know you said that you were questioning if it was going to be released when, because I think you said you saw it and you were questioning if that was on the proper release schedule or if it was going to be delayed. Somebody told me that.
The last one
the initial, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So to me, it just feels like they did delay it, and they're, the polishing is getting done. I mean, at some point, there's nothing more to add. You want to get the game out too.
Yeah.
So.
Wasn't there a thing with it was feature complete and like getting rated by the ESRB or something?
I just don't remember. I'm sorry, I just don't remember who said it, but I'm sure it hit some websites that they were like, as far along as, like, let's say, what do you call it? Last of Us.
I was going to say about that. That's who I was going to bring up. Was the only reason. Normally I'd be like, buying in, but I guess I just look at what happened with The Last of Us, where it seems like development wasn't impacted by this. From what Jason Schreier had reported from the inside. He was like, they got the game done. They said they're just not releasing it because of physical and how
Correct.
that would lose them a lot of money. They were kind of predicting, I think it would be 50-50 or something like that. And so that's where I look at it from is, are they maybe on track because the reality is that they would be able to ship it digitally and physically by then, because hopefully things are a little more, who knows, it'll be completely gone by then, but is it going to be a little more under control at that point where people could go out and buy it physically or get it shipped and download it, or maybe some internet restrictions are loosened because hopefully there will be some degree of normalcy? Or do you think there's a bit of that in their trajectory, if you will?
Oh, for sure, because Last of Us was like the coronavirus hit, and then they had to delay. This is way out, so they can prepare much better. And I do know Final Fantasy had some issues.
Oh, gosh,
we already know, but there were some other issues that it was just, and people were like, "Why is this not just instantly released?" And I'll tell you, anybody who knows game development will tell you there's about 8,000 reasons why that wasn't instantly released. And why in some places, if it was already in the store, it might have been, but they weren't. I saw people who were like, just make it available on digital. And you're like, dude, you have no clue how things work. So it feels to me like there's a longer period of time and they can prepare, because we're still getting shipments. It's long. But I think another thing is to ignore, let's pretend it is coming for sure. The one thing I do wonder about is the Final Fantasy effect. If they ship it early because they want to hit, we know just the way shipments are being currently done, they have anywhere from 1 week to a month and 1 week for the item to arrive. You're going to have leaks everywhere, Matty. It's going to be some little podunk store. That's going to be crazy to see. And I'm absolutely sure they're looking into that as well. People were wondering about Final Fantasy, for instance, because you get the game, you install it, there's a download. And a lot of companies will add a download, not because they need it, but for DRM. So you will get the game early, and I've had this, where you have to sign in and say who you are to get your download to work, because the download is currently not there for the normal public, because they don't want the normal public to be able to grab a store-bought copy. Those are the things I'm thinking of. Like, how are they going to do that? Like, are we going to get the thing where it's like, yeah, get it, but day one is where what would you call it? It can now run patch is gone.
It's like a launch almost.
Yeah, it's just the executable. It's like, will they just ship the game with no executable? And and I'm just wondering off the top of my head, because these are all really interesting to me. The logistics of all this is pretty fascinating and unfortunate, by the way. I don't want anybody thinking.
Yeah, it's definitely unfortunate, but it's also like, you can't help but have a curiosity to see how these companies are going to navigate this and see how normal they can make a game launch. Because I said it last week that Final Fantasy VII was just like, it's one of the most staggered game launches I've seen. It was like, I think April 1st, Australia. Then we got it. I don't know how early you got your copy, but like, I got mine April 3rd. And then there's like the worldwide.
Yeah, I got mine about 5 days early. And but people had it before me. Legit, as in store-bought version.
Yeah. People like literally bought the game before reviewers got it. It was the weirdest thing. I was like, what? Not to sound entitled, was that how it works? Like, it was cool for people. I'm glad they got their hands on it like 9 days earlier than you expected. That's got to be awesome, because the game was good too, like we said. So, yeah, man. Yeah,
it's going to be. This won't be the only one, man. We're going to see a lot of companies and a lot of weird things going on. It's going to be sort of a dog-eat-dog kind of year, I think, for just how everybody tries to do what they do and just get their jobs done. It's going to be really weird. It's going to also make PR a bitch.
Yeah.
PR was a bitch for, some game. I don't want to say. But there was some disasters in the last couple weeks. So it's going to be really interesting to see how that continues.
Yeah. When you say dog-eat-dog world, you almost mean like who's going to rise to the top and stick around?
That's exactly what I mean. Yeah, who's going to figure out? Because, dude, this is going to require an evolution of the way PR is done. By the way, you said the 50-50 for The Last of Us. that's very typical. Like, that's what people usually assume is like 50-50 for the percentages right now. 50-50 for development and PR, 50-50 for physical and digital, even though that's not right. It's just the assumptions. Who's gonna adjust? Microsoft, strangely enough, feels like one of the few companies that sort of got their, like, because of probably xCloud. They've got some shit sort of planned. It looks like they're sort of stepping their game up and they've sort of got their stuff. Nintendo has their issues because, remember, they're not as digital as the rest of them. They're not as good with online.
They've been doing sales for once in their life. They're actually doing
right, but here's the
sales.
thing, Matty. Right. That's what I'm saying, Matty. Will that mean in October you and I, or all of us, are sitting here going, wow, Nintendo stepped up and they've come into the future because they had to. Because, dude, they have dogmatically stayed out of an entire realm for whatever reason. And will they be required to with all of these weird changes going on in shipping and sales? Yeah, it's gonna be a really weird time.
For sure.
Well, did you guys see the other Cyberpunk stuff they posted? I thought it was all like from that like the DLC before launch.
Yes.
I thought that was pretty interesting.
That was.
What was it?
Was. I don't know what it meant.
It's like Cyberpunk 2077's DLC will be revealed before release with no less than The Witcher 3.
Wow.
Which I thought was, I don't know, it's kind of weird. I feel like
it was also a
DLC.
weird way of writing it. They said less. I'm assuming they meant no less content than The Witcher, but that.
Yeah, I think that's what they meant, because The Witcher.
Is that what they? Okay.
The Witcher had. I always mess up the name. Hearts of Stone.
The wine one.
Yeah,
Blood
and
Wine
was
something?
sort of like the crown jewel of that. But they also had 16 quests that just came out. I think it was weekly for DLC after launch.
Okay.
And so if they're taking that approach, that's exciting, because I always said I was surprised if companies had like an extra amount of time to develop quests. Why wouldn't they could either, make sense, package them all together and put them in, like, we'll say some new land like Blood and Wine introduced, but I never understood why more companies, after they saw the success of it with the Witcher, didn't do like weekly quest updates, not like daily quests like we were talking about with Fallout, but like, here's a new quest in this area, here's a new quest in this area, and by the time it's all done, you've just got more in your world. But for those who are sticking around, they're just gonna keep playing it. I thought that was always a cool idea. That's interesting. So they are and they're revealing it before launch, which is very good.
Yeah.
Yep.
And
but it's not multiplayer.
I was just about to ask that. I was gonna say, I wonder if that sounds like it's definitely gonna be like its own game.
Because they said, I think, multiplayer not before 2021.
Right, something. Yeah, they said multiplayer is separated completely, and not even they're doing this prior to multiplayer, as in getting this solidified for multiplayer.
I wonder, and hear me out, this doesn't mean that I don't believe that they will get it out in September, but I do wonder if maybe they are holding the development back on the multiplayer for getting this one out instead. Like, they've kind of shifted.
I'm sure they are.
Hands on deck.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that happens a lot in dev studios. They're like, okay, we're trying to wrap this project up, all hands on deck. But I feel like in this case, a lot of people forget that they already pretty much talked about, we're doing The Witcher 4. Although I think they tried to stomp it out and say, like, we'll talk about The Witcher when we're ready. We know it's coming. Like, we know it's going to happen.
Yeah.
Between that, Cyberpunk, like, we kind of think people forget that Cyberpunk does have that I even just forgot until a couple seconds ago that multiplayer thing is happening for them. So I think they've just maybe sidestepped those projects in exchange for just going all in on Cyberpunk in the last 5 months, in exchange for what we usually see with game companies, which is the last, like, 2 months, 3 months, that sort of range.
Yeah.
All right. Last bit of news before we get into the Patron questions is on the DualSense. I really found this controller interesting. So I just have a general summary of some of its new features, some of its expanded features, rather, because it looks to expand more on the DualShock 4, the PlayStation 4 controller. It says they are expanding the share functionality to a create button. They didn't really get into what that create button would bring, but they wanted to keep people sharing their experience and making stuff on the PlayStation platform, which I think is a smart choice, because that was pretty definitive for Sony, and Xbox did follow suit. There's haptic feedback now, something that I believe Xbox is already doing to some extent. And I know that there
force feedback and triggers, not haptic, but they do have force feedback.
That's what it was. Okay, thank you. And then I know Nintendo had like a rumble system in there
Mm-hmm.
in theirs, which was just, oh my god. There was this one game I played, Phantom Doctrine, and I stopped playing it because I was like, I know this is gonna break my controller. Like it vibrated
It vibrated all the time.
extremely hard though. It was like it sounded like a fucking snowblower or some shit. Anyway, DualSense also has a built-in microphone, so they defined it in their article as like you could hop into a party, have a quick chat, but like if you were gonna sit around for a while, you'd probably want a headset. That'd be more handy. But now you can like pop into a party, be like, hey, I'm doing XYZ. I'll be back in a little. You don't even have to put on your headset, which I've been there before, so that's kind of nice for me. USB-C is now a thing for it, so you don't have to worry about destroying 1,000,001 wires. And then they also, Karak, you're going to like this one. I'm sure you already saw it. Stronger battery life.
Yeah, I did. It's all I cared about, dude.
Yeah.
It's all I care about.
So let's talk about it. I know they had like this new design for it, essentially retiring DualShock. Looks a little bit in the terms of size like an Xbox controller. They've got this new color scheme. It's sort of two-tone with a tank top look on it. What do you guys feel about this controller? Do you like it? Do you dislike it? Do you think any of these features sound cool? Go
ahead, Juice, if you want to go first.
Hear it.
I guess I'm probably not a good person. I don't think I've ever even held a PS4 controller.
Wow.
A PS3 I have that, and it was way too light. I remember.
Oh god, yeah.
But
Man, that is the number one complaint.
Yeah,
that is so weird. You mentioned not weird, but it is. That is.
I remember it would like
complaint
actually
everybody
really
has.
bothered me. Like it made me not want to. I think it was like my dad's PS3, but I wanted to play like Uncharted and I like didn't want to play it because the controller was so freaking light.
Yeah, no, I get that. I get that. The 4 is even light, and they said in the article, they're like, we're looking to make it heavier this time around. I'm like, just take the Xbox controller, weigh it out, and then just try to fucking put the parts in to make it the same weight. Like, add a little heft in there, like put a little more plastic on it. You know?
I thought it was weird how they showed it, but like also like seemed like reluctant. Like there's like only like one shot of the controller, right?
There were a couple in the article, but it was like one of like the controller facing you and the other was it like on its back so you could see the USB, but you couldn't see if there was a headphone jack, but apparently that's still going to be there.
I thought that was weird how they almost seemed like reluctant to show out the whole thing. Like just show me all the angles. Are you hiding something or what's the deal with that?
Yeah, I mean they've been reluctant the whole fucking way as far as I'm concerned. Between like the specs talk, it's just I feel like they're just kind of killing time until they can push the system back, because I think they were having like issues getting parts. This virus happened. Karak and I talked about it, but did they like what spot in line were they essentially when they started saying we need to go to other factories to produce this PS5? Then you've got to compete with prices, and I don't know. It seemed like Xbox was a step ahead on that one, ever so slightly. And maybe it's because they're talking a little bit more. It seems that way. I could be wrong, but as far as I'm concerned, I don't like how PlayStation's handled their conversation with the new systems. Like, I like the controller, but like revealing the system specs, but not the system.
Yeah, that was so weird. I remember.
It's such a long drip feed. And I know that means the internet will explode when they go like, here are the games and here's the system. And like, everyone's like, yeah, but as it stands now, I don't like how they're communicating about their new console. It's a little easier to digest because like bit by bit as it goes on. And I do like that, but it's just the substance and the significance of that news is like they're making it a bigger deal than it is. Like I think the controller got 23K retweets when I last looked, and I'm just like, it's a fucking controller, man. Like I put it on my Instagram because I was like, it seems like people give a shit. All right, let's see. And it was my most liked photo of the week, so there that says something. Yeah.
Well, they actually tying together the past two. I think CD Projekt also said that Cyberpunk 2077 gets a free upgrade to PS5. I assume PS4.
Yeah. Like they said it without saying it almost, that PlayStation would get a similar treatment, because I don't think they were able to confirm that PlayStation could do that, because they were also being super vague about backwards and forwards compatibility. Like, just, it will get upgraded, will just run the same. Top 100 games is what PlayStation said originally. Now it's like, 4,000 games can be played on it. It's like, can they be played, or do developers have to put in a patch for it to be played? Because at that point, you're going to see that number slashed severely, because it costs money to do that and time as well. So it's good to know that Cyberpunk will be supporting it, but I kind of expect nothing less of CD Projekt Red. They've created that image for themselves, so Don't call me entitled, because that's their own fault, man. Karak, as a lover of the PlayStation 4 controller, overall, were you a fan of what you heard?
Yeah, I mean, I was worried there was no, they that apparently, from what I'm hearing now, was a mock-up that we saw. It doesn't mean it doesn't exist. It's just those pictures were mock-ups, which is why there were some oddities about like the 3.5. But that is there, which is cool, because I was worried about no audio jack. I was like, what the fuck? Light bar has to be there for backwards compatibility, which I understand. I'll still smash mine with a hammer like I did with the others. I fucking hate that thing. Mic doesn't bother me. I saw a lot of people who privacy, they were like, I don't want it recording, blah, blah, blah. Hey, if you grab a sewing needle, poke a bunch of holes in that fucking microphone, you won't have to worry about it recording shit. That doesn't bother me. What bothers me is the battery life. It needs to be, it doesn't need to be as good as Xbox. We know that they do something different with their hibernation states between button presses, which is why it lasts so long. So I'm okay with them not being that long, but it needs to improve. So I can't wait to see what we get, because that's actually very exciting to me. Additionally, both controllers, I'm interested in their range. And then lastly, I'm interested in how they're transferring their audio to their controllers. So both of those use a proprietary Bluetooth, which is a low latency, which is fairly terrible on the PS4. It's audio, if you pump it through a headphone jack, is revolting. So I'm hoping they've made some big improvements there, because, as you know, some people, they do have a pair of earbuds or whatever, and they just want to play sitting out on the couch. They don't want to have the 5.1 stereo. Their wife is there, and they don't want to bother them. So it's very exciting. As for looks, I use the Brooks controller adapter, so I use the Xbox controllers on the PS4 anyway. I do have PS4 controllers, but I'll probably just do that, to be honest, unless this controller is more comfortable. Its form factor looked good. I know people have an issue with the what do you call it? The symmetrical thumb.
Oh, not being
placement.
Offset.
Yeah.
Which I get. I understand, each to their own, but I think the way the controller's set, this will be better than it was. So that'll be a step up. But yeah, what I saw looked okay. I saw some people. We were joking. I was joking with Rula too about dirty. Like, will it get dirty?
Oh yeah.
I don't know if people. Yeah, I don't know if people were taking that serious. If people are taking that it's white serious, many controllers have been white and they get dirty or they don't. I was taking it as a joke, like, why would you worry about that? But now that I think about it and started looking, I was like, oh, people are actually pretending like that's new. It's not new. You're full of shit if you're pretending that's new. That's been around forever.
Not only pretending, but I saw people legitimately saying, like, oh, I don't want it to get dirty. I don't like that it's white. And I'm just sitting there like, number one, I'm going to be totally straightforward. How fucking gross are you, dude? Like,
Yeah.
I have never in my whole life, and I'm not like some crazy germaphobe. I've never dirtied up a controller. The worst I've seen was I lent it to my boy Ivan, and I got it back, and I gave it back to him right away because it was fucking greased up. Because he had chip hands all over it. I was like,
that's what I was going to bring up. Is I mean, white. It also depends on the shell. So if you have a candy shell versus textured versus rubberized, it did look rubberized, which means a dimpling effect, and that, as somebody who's tested those, that does get dirty easier. However, you can wipe it down. I mean, I'm not too worried about that kind of, like, we'll see when we see. But overall, I thought it was, I mean, it was a controller. Like, I don't get, other than the battery, I don't get excited about any of that. It's usually the same form factor overall, and that's sort of what this is. It's just slightly adjusted. So
yeah, I guess, I don't know. I've never seen a white controller get dirty. I don't know how else to word
I
it.
have. Just so you know, I get what you're saying, but I have. But it's been over a long period of time. But I do have a lot of friends come over. You got 4 people. They're eating Cheetos.
Is it,
like,
I'm trying.
But I have dogs too, so I don't know. Maybe it's because they fall. Mine are on the floor all the time. Are yours? Because, like, dude, I'll literally be playing and just be like, just fucking toss it, and then stand up and walk off, too. So it could just be that, your treat.
Yeah, I feel like if I don't know how else to describe it. I remember seeing, because my brother, he doesn't play video games anymore, but when he did, I remember seeing, like, the 360 controller sit in his room over time, and I just remember there being, like, around the Xbox ring.
Yeah.
Almost like,
yeah.
That's...
Yep. A layer.
Yeah.
A fine layer of crust.
Yeah, and my brother, I know he's a clean guy, so I was just, I don't know. I guess maybe it's just like gunk.
Well, it's the coating. the coating can definitely matter if it's sticky or if it's candy. I will also say, I think honestly, Matty, it's nobody has anything to talk about. I mean, I'm not trying to be rude.
Right?
It's, well, no. Well, we're talking about that. If they weren't talking about it, would we? Probably not. So I feel okay with that. But I think there's just not a lot of data right now, and that's why you get all these really weird conversations. And it's a hard time for a lot of people, and they're concentrating on shit that doesn't involve their crappy lives. And I don't mean that they're bad people. I'm saying a lot of people are having really hard times, and so it's a little easier to bitch about a controller than it is to,
scream into
stuck
the
at
echo
home
chamber.
and shit.
Yeah, I get it.
Yeah, it's rough. So
I get it.
do you guys partake of the Well, okay, maybe Juice. Wait a minute, Juice, are you PC only?
Yeah, no, I have an Xbox. But...
Okay, have you guys ever partaken of like the customs? Because I have. So Xbox, it doesn't cost more to do customs, but I have a couple custom controllers. Do you guys ever do that? Like the special color? You have stuff. Okay.
Yeah, no, I've never done that. When I was a kid,
okay.
I wanted like the modded where you could shoot really fast in Call of Duty.
Oh my god, the are you talking about the one with the trigger stop, or like you could like hit the back button?
Wasn't there one where it was just like a button and you would shoot?
Oh no, there's ones where there's a mod board in them.
Oh,
yeah.
What was the what did they call in Call of Duty when you shot too fast with a semi-auto and they slowed down your rate of fire because they knew you were modding?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Awesome though. That is great.
Yeah. I remember in I was gonna sound so ridiculous. I remember when Call of Duty World at War came out because I had like the Gewehr, SVT. I love that game. Yeah. And my friends and I would go in like private match lobbies and we'd be like, yo, check out my trigger finger, and like you just. Like,
oh yeah, I remember that.
just fire out a clip as fast as you can, and eventually what would happen is when you shot, you couldn't go as fast. It'd be like dun dun dun, because the game would be like, oh, he's shooting too fast. He's shooting way too fast.
Gotcha.
That's interesting.
So it would slow you down. Initially, they didn't have that, obviously, because the game had so many semi-auto weapons, and it was such a popular game for years. That was during, like, Call of Duty 4 and World at War. Those are, like, definitive ones for years on end. So they had to implement that so that people couldn't... I wonder if that's still there, too. I think it was called, like, mod blocking or something like that, is what my friends and I called it when they slowed down your rate of fire. But yeah, I never had like.
Oh, sorry.
No, I was just gonna say I actually, you know what? I did have a custom controller. A website sent me it once. It was like a Fallout themed one. It had MrMattyPlays on the back. But it was this like.
Oh, that's cool.
Slick. Yeah, it was really cool. I have like an unboxing of it on my channel showing it off. But it was like this slick material, and I remember having trouble using it because I don't get sweaty at all when I play games. I don't mean like try hard, but I don't legitimately perspirate, and with that, like, my hands got really clammy. Like, the material just didn't gel with my hands at all, literally. And my hands would, like, just get really wet. And I was like, oh, God. Like, I'm just going to preserve
Now that
this
we're
controller.
talking about Call of Duty World at War, I just want a Call of Duty World at War 2 or a remaster of that, even though I hate remasters. Dude, every time you mention that game or we talk about it, I don't know what it is about that game. It's fucking so good. It's so good. That would be an amazing announce if they were like, hey, we're redoing this.
They almost had it when they did MW2, and they're like, just the campaign, no maps. We're adding the maps to the original Modern Warfare that we just released, and I was like, I'm not playing. Okay, see you later. You had me for a second.
Yeah, they botched that one.
Oh, God, so badly. It's not even the exclusivity. That's what bugged me more. I was like, fuck you guys. I want the maps.
Oh, I forgot about the exclusivity, right, because that's PS4 for a month, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it still somehow managed to crawl into like the top 5, even though it released on like the last day of the month, like top 5 in sales, I should say.
Damn,
ridiculous. All right, let's get into the patron questions to wrap this up. We'll see if anyone specifically had asked for Juicy Juice. I keep calling you that because I just think like it's one of my favorite drinks growing up.
Yeah.
It's mad funny when I tweeted out like, a teaser of who's today's guest was. I don't know if you saw the tweet, but everyone thought like I was bringing on either O.J. Simpson or or I was bringing on Orange Cassidy, who's like a fucking AEW wrestler.
Wow.
That's actually pretty funny.
Yeah. A couple of people were like, oh, it's JuiceHead. I was like, yeah, wouldn't that make more fucking sense than O.J. fucking Simpson? All right. Let's get into it. We got a decent amount of questions today. We're going to start off with Brown Ninja 97. What do you eat during long game sessions? Sorry. I've recently tried to be a bit more healthy, and I just violently eat peanuts or roasted almonds. I've never tried I tried walnuts. Well, there we go. There's my fuck up.
There we go.
I tried walnuts. Yep. Never again. What do you guys eat usually when you game, if at all?
I don't think. I'm not a big snacker.
Really? That's my Achilles heel at nighttime, man. Like once 10 o'clock hits, I need a snack. It's so bad.
See, like I have like not sleeping. I just sleep poorly. And like when I eat before bed, it like becomes 10 times worse. So I've kind of just like adjusted to not eating after like 7 p.m.
Wow.
Yeah. I have the exact same issue.
Wow.
I have a huge issue with eating late at night. I start to feel I just don't feel good. Yeah. I just don't. I almost need, it sounds weird, I need a very empty stomach to work out, and I need a very empty stomach to go to sleep.
The same. Yeah, because like some people will eat breakfast and exercise. I'm like, how?
Yeah, dude, I'm the wake up at 5 a.m., work out with no food, and I feel so much better for whatever reason. So I don't snack much, but he's right when he said peanuts. I do like, peanuts are really bad for you, especially because you can eat them quickly and suddenly you like go over what you probably should be eating. But spicy peanuts, I'm a huge fan of, where they're like coated in like chili powder. Yeah, I love that shit.
Because I remember when I did martial arts before all of this, they had Saturday classes in the morning, and I went there one time, empty stomach, like you guys are talking about, and I just remember like we stopped our kicking practice. We stopped our kicking practice. I just saw, all of a sudden my vision went colors, just like I couldn't see shit. And I started to get overheated. I was like, hold up. I felt like such a pussy, but I was like, hold up, I gotta go to the bathroom. I thought I was gonna yak. I didn't. But like I was so like out of it after that. I was like, oh my god, man. Next time I went, I had eggs and a bagel. I was good. I can't work out if I don't have. It's like I'm burning that fuel. I don't know. It's like in my head, it's like I filled up the gas in my car and I'm going for a drive now.
Well, no. You are, because you're also thinner than me. So I go into ketosis faster than you. So like I'll work out for 30 minutes before I start to feel prickly, which is your second wind. Have you ever played basketball and you're tired for a bit? And that's ketosis switching on, which is burning the fat. I go in fast because I'm a bigger guy. So to me, I might have a piece of pepperoni that's like this big or something, because your stomach can get a little Ralphie with nothing in it. And when I say nothing, I still will drink water or drink a pop. I do like pop. I'll have something in a little, but I can't.
At 5 a.m., you'll have a little soda?
Fuck, dude. At 5 a.m., I would have been done with this. I woke up at 2:02 this morning, and I was done with one of these by 3:02. What are you talking about?
I can't. I have like
dude, I barely sleep
limit.
now.
I have a sweet limit. It's like.
Oh, do you? To like too much, and you're.
No, I should say like a timer. Like it has to be a certain point of the day hits, and I'm like, okay, time to have a sweet. Like.
Oh, everybody I know is the same way. Yeah, no,
funny.
you're right. This is sort of weird, but I think that's why you're skinny, and it like you do need a little bit more fuel to make the jump into whatever you've got in your body, where obviously I don't need as long of a jump. I've got more to burn. So and I do, especially depending on the workout, I think that probably changes, because when we do powerlifting or something, then you probably do want to eat a little bit, or you'll fucking drop a weight on your head. So, it just all depends.
I remember one time my friend, I was at his house, and then my other friend came over. Ivan, actually the same kid who greased up my controller. He came over.
What are you doing?
Yeah, I know. No, this one's a hilarious story, though. I guess it's more hilarious for me because I was there and I saw it. I was like bugging my friends because I was like trying to get on a good gym work ethic, and like that day I didn't go at all because we said we were going to go together, but by the time we all got together, it was like 11 at night, and it's a 24-hour gym, and I was like, come on, let's go. They're like, no, we don't want to. And I was just acting kind of funny. He's drinking out of this, kind of like this like a little thermos thing. And he's just acting weird. I'm just like, all right, come on, let's go. Turns out it's a full fucking thing of beer. I don't know why he had it. And he had not eaten all day. So we go to the gym, and I just have like photos and videos of this kid being a complete fucking idiot.
Jackass.
Just like
That's
sprinting
awesome.
on the treadmill at full speed while hammered, like bench pressing with one weight on one end, but like nothing on the other. Just shit like that. It's one of my fondest memories because I never expected it.
It's funny too, because that's the problem with beer. Not the problem, but beer is very carby, so there's a lot of energy in it. And you will get people who like. That's why Red Bull mixed with alcohols can be dangerous, because you're supposed to be sedentary and you're supposed to get tired, but Red Bull. And I've had
Beats
friends
you up.
on Red. Oh Jesus, it's been a disaster. Where like the normal person I know, they'll conk out at 1:30 in the morning, and I'm still up. I'm fine. There were times where it was like 4:30, and this guy's like, "So anyway, you want to play?" And I'm just like, "What the fuck?" But he's drunk, so he can't do anything. So you're just like, you've got a person who's like a child, like some kind of brain damaged child running around, but he's full size human. You're like, it's going to be a disaster. What you just told me, that's usually like on Reddit late at night. Like, what could go wrong, Reddit? Where you look at a JPEG of your friend running and falling, right? And
Yeah,
getting
I have
chewed
like
up
an
in
in-motion
a
photo of him like on the treadmill, just like arms in mid-pump, like it's blurry a little bit. Like
That's awesome.
It's amazing.
That's awesome.
In answer to your question, Brown Ninja, I have usually like peanut butter crackers or like something with peanuts, just because healthy fats. I try my best to eat healthy where I can. So that would be my go-to. You're not alone on that. If you're looking for like suggestions, there's like this thing called Skinny Pop, and it's just these 80-calorie bags of popcorn that are so good.
Yeah, they're good.
They're so good. I would recommend those. Swaggy Booty asks us, do you make hot chocolate with water or milk?
Oh, milk if I could, but I don't think we've had good hot chocolate in years, so it's always been water. But milk, hot chocolate with milk is
I just feel like when I look at the hot chocolate, if it's made with water, I know.
Yes, it's thinner.
Yeah.
You definitely know. Yeah.
Taste it. I feel like
It's like it's like low-fat milk. When you look at low-fat milk versus normal milk, you're like, that ain't real. Even though I'll drink it, I'm like, that's not. It's water. It's just white. Yeah.
I haven't had hot chocolate in a while. Last time I did, my mom got me this like package from like ShopRite or something, and it was like this Oreo thing that you could like put in there to flavor it up to taste like an Oreo.
Oh, gotcha.
It was interesting, but I
feel like I get it once every like in my Christmas stocking or something. I get like one packet.
It's seasonal.
Yeah,
Sure.
Yeah.
And then it's like I'll have it one. I'll eat that or I'll drink that, and that's it.
It's like eggnog in a way. I would say it's more seasonal.
I couldn't fathom having eggnog in like the heat of June or something.
I love eggnog but there's no way I'd be drinking it right now. Like it's all hot outside here. Fucking thick eggy drink.
You want to talk about puking? Holy crap, man!
Oh yeah, that'd be disgusting, man.
There are just some drinks you can only have during certain times of the year. One of them is not apple cider though. That is any time of the year. That shit is good.
Apple cider's good.
I love apple cider. All right, Kopi asks us, what's a game that has had you wake up earlier than normal, effectively helping you maintain a sleep schedule, assuming yours was imperfect in the first place? And I'm guessing he's talking about Animal Crossing. So have you guys ever had a game that's like, all right, rise and grind, baby?
Yeah.
Really?
Halo 3.
Oh,
Jesus. Yeah, for sure.
that's a good one. I haven't played that since like 9th grade.
Best Halo.
Yeah, no, it is.
I agree with that. I played that one the most. I love Halo 2,
Dude.
but like Halo 1.
Halo 2 is good.
Halo 1 I hold the most fondly, like in the campaign. But Halo 3, the multiplayer.
Yeah, the custom games, the lobbies.
Yeah, insane.
Co-op. That game was everything that a sequel should be. Where I think 2, even though I know a lot of people like it, 2 felt a little bit like 1, and then the ending was fucked up in 2 because of the development issues. 3 just felt like more complete.
2 people just freak out about because of the multiplayer maps are good, but it's like, here's dual wield, and you can play as the Arbiter. And it's like, okay.
And, yeah, right?
Yeah.
And you're just
Energy
like, all right,
sword.
that was it. Wasn't that the one with the fucking hive mind in it, too? Wasn't it, too?
I know 3 is the one who brought back the Flood, if that's what you're talking about. I think.
No, the hive mind, that alien fucking plant thing.
I know what you're talking
Yeah, with the Arbiter. Yeah, it is.
Oh, I vaguely know what you're talking about. I haven't played Halo 2
exactly.
forever. I've played one story the most because that just I remember the
transcends time.
Yeah, the demo disc for that one, playing that 4th mission, and it always cut off right as you got to that facility where the 2 doors close on the sides and like you can't go inside. That's when like the demo cut off, and I just kept playing that over and over. And then like as a kid, it's like this like surreal moment when you have the full game and those doors closed and the demo didn't end, and I was like, oh my god,
Oh yeah.
oh my god, there's more, I could play it all now. That mission just particular. It's called, I think, Assault on the Control Room's the 5th mission. The Cartographer was the 4th mission, and
And I called it Hive Mind. I meant Grave Mind.
Grave Mind. Okay.
For Halo.
Yeah,
Halo
then that
2,
doesn't ring a bell. Then I don't know.
Oh, well, there's a good reason. It's a pretty terrible part.
Okay.
Halo 2's story just didn't grab me. What's another game? Early morning.
This is kind of like a gimme answer for my audience, but like Fallout 4 for sure. Like I used to wake up at 10 every single day before it was even announced to make sure, because Bethesda, like they have a different pattern now. Obviously, as we talked about with 76, where like Thursdays they do this or Fridays they do that.
Yeah.
But with Fallout 4, I remember like I always saw them drop big news at 10 a.m. Eastern time. And so even if I wanted to sleep in, I'd have my alarm set and check my Twitter account at 10 a.m. every single day before it got announced. And like
it's actually funny. Yeah, not to cut you.
No, you're good.
You mentioned that with 76, because remember they did. Wasn't there like speculation they were going to announce something right around 76?
Yeah, because I
Like,
think there
when
was
the teaser-
that Fallout 3 remaster with those like files that were on
Yeah.
Amazon. There was something like that circulating.
So I remember it was like the day that it would be happening, and I like got all excited. I sat at my desk, 10 a.m. sharp, like sitting there waiting, looking at their Twitter, refreshing, and I think it was like 10:17, or maybe it was like 11:17 it came out. But so I sat there all excited, and then I got like all disappointed. They're like, God, it's not happening. So I like gave up, got up, like made breakfast, made coffee, came back like a half hour later to find they actually did it. I just missed it by like a few minutes.
Oh my
Yeah,
god.
But
I've done.
yeah.
I've definitely had that happen.
It's funny because I did that 10 a.m. thing, and then I think I was at a friend's house the night before Fallout 4, and then like I came home and I fell asleep, and I was like, I'm so tired. I'm sleeping in. Like, there's no shot anything happens. And the day I slept in and woke up at 12 was the day they announced not announced Fallout 4, but they teased it was coming with like the Please Stand By thing. And I just remember like when I woke up that day, I woke up in a good mood, and I remember saying to myself when I woke up, I was like, I think they announced Fallout 4 today. Like, I just felt in my bones like something spiritually told me today was the day, and it was the weirdest fucking thing. But I can't think of any game because like technically, and we're all in the same boat, like this is our job, so like I do get up around like 10:30 to start my day to work on games. So I guess in a sense I do, but like a game that I like,
I feel like all of mine were like high school, middle school. Before I went to school, I would wake up to play video.
really even back then I couldn't, my brain just couldn't. I mean there were times for sure like
It was like rare. It was like when something just came out and I was like, I need to play more.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I did that with Halo actually. With Halo 1.
Yeah, exactly.
We had a 2-hour delay because of some snow, and I was like, Mom, can I go play Halo? She's like, yeah, you got 2 hours and you were ready for school. Why not? I was like, yes, great day. But I don't know if there's anything else I got up early for intentionally to just grind, unless like I was going to stream it or something, because I like to play games as organically as possible. And it's like, if I start living it on a schedule, then I'm just like, what am I doing? It's a game.
Yeah.
Relax, bro. But there are games I've like grinded. Like I definitely have more of like a nightly schedule, like where my friends and I will coordinate. Like we're getting on at 7, we're playing fucking Overwatch. Like that's what we did for a good year. Like 7 o'clock was Overwatch time, and I played till like midnight every night for like a good year. So, question 2 from Brown Ninja. With this console generation coming to an end, how do you think it stacks up to the previous gens? For me, this gen is the best due to the resurrection of JRPGs and a lot more niche titles coming west. And of course, Hottable Boyfriend coming out this gen. I can't stand that game. I really can't. Like, I more so because my friends convinced me to play it and say, like, it was good. Like, it's good. It ramps up. You're going to really like it. Give it a chance. I played 9 hours of it, and it just, oh, God, I fucking did not like that game at all. I thought it was so stupid. But what do you guys think of this generation compared to like the 360 and PS3? Do you like the games that came out in comparison more or less?
I think I played less because I went to college where like I didn't
Makes sense.
follow. Like I'm trying to think of like when it even started, and I feel like it was more like kind of like gray area, or I just like latched on to one game and just ignored all the other ones for a while.
Yeah, no, I get that, and I did the same thing for a period of time. When I was in college, I was like on ESO a shit ton, like every night. That was kind of my go-to. And I remember I was like going to overhaul my channel for it, but I didn't. But still, like, you know, that was so I get that.
Did I know you when you were in high school then?
Me?
ESO, when was ESO?
ESO was 2014. That's when I started playing. Yeah, I was still in college then. We didn't talk till 2016, 2 years behind.
Okay, gotcha.
I was still a teenager at the time, I think, though.
Yeah, I just couldn't remember because because I reviewed ESO when it came on consoles. I was like, it didn't feel like it was a huge difference in time frame, but that makes sense.
What year was that? That was 2015.
I think that was like 2015. Yeah. But for me, I would say I like the 360 era. I'll probably never forget because like I started to also I didn't really follow a bunch of people, but One Up Yours was a really cool podcast at the time with Garnet Lee and a couple other people, and they had like some PlayStation fans, some Xbox, and at the time, especially with the way everybody was tiered, it was more towards PlayStation, and it was hard to get like equal data about things. And they were very clear about like, we're going to cover both. And then at the time, the Xbox was doing very well, which was weird because it's been so rare that another company has done well. So it was this cool like magic time. And then there were just so many games, man. Dead Rising is probably one of the best like feelings I've ever got from a game in my life, where like I played it the first time and it was just technically it was weird to see that many zombies on screen, like what you could do. It was a weird game. It had good voice, and I remember these moments in time on the 360 more than I do on the PS4 or the Xbox. And PC I've always played because Daggerfall would be like my favorite game of all time, but that's before most people were born.
Yeah. I feel like this gen has been really good, like the PS4 and Xbox One. It's with the 360, I think of like all the new additions that we saw that we really haven't seen in this generation. By that I mean like I think this new genre, the newest genre that defines this generation is probably Battle Royale. But like I think previously of like some of the new systems that were introduced that we never would have thought were possible with the 360, like, you know, you think of like free flow combat, right? Like in the Arkham games and in Shadow of Mordor. Sorry, I think Shadow of War was the version that came out later on. But you just, you know, there were a lot of like lot more unique systems because companies had less to work with, so they tried to like find this angle, this mechanic that separated them from the bunch. Like I remember there was one game, I don't even think it was very good, but you could like take your head off and throw it and then like roll around the level and then like find a body or something. And I think it was like Killer is Dead or something like that is what it was called. But you just saw a lot of wacky creativity. And as the end of the generation approached, I mean, like you had the trifecta, like you had GTA 5, this huge definitive open world game that still like tops the charts. You had BioShock Infinite, which is still out of the three, probably my favorite. And like just a storytelling masterpiece, and like especially with the DLC, I'm incorporating that for those who are wondering. And then you had The Last of Us, which is this just action adventure, mind blowing experience that like defines what PlayStation exclusives are all about. And I know Karak doesn't feel as strongly about that, but
not that game, but
yeah, that's
they
I mean
had
the game
exclusives.
specifically. But just I just feel like it had like almost all the chapters in a story is how I define it, where this one was sort of like an epilogue. It felt like outside of Battle Royale, like we didn't see like experimentations with like more MOBAs. Like we saw Paragon come and go, but it's sort of been a lot of mainstays and continuations of franchises. I don't think we've seen, like Spider-Man PS4 is a good example of where we saw innovation, like good combat, good exploration, or I should say movement rather, not exploration. But just and probably this is where a good time for feedback could come in, where maybe I'm not thinking of a game. There was a lot of diversity in like Brown Ninja said, like the Japanese experiences. Like you had Persona, Nier, you had Catherine, the Tales games. Like these are all four of them just vastly different and really fun and unique. And I think that's why if you experience these Japanese games, they might skew your definition of the generation a little bit more.
I think there was also, it was the first time where MMOs started to become a thing, which was big to me. And they were just starting to get console stuff. But the big ones to me were like Microsoft had the 3Bs, the Bungie, the Bazaar, and the BioWare. Yeah. And so you got Mass Effect, which again, just because I'm a sci-fi nerd, was mind-blowing. Like it was Flash Gordon finally, Captain Kirk finally, like after years of wanting that. Jade Empire, of course, prior to that, the martial arts one. But yeah, it was just, and there was that on everything. Nintendo less so, I'll be honest. But the Wii tried with the Wii made motion controllers like popular, which
Yeah.
I guess I just didn't. And I ended up having a Wii and having some really good times with that too. There's just like you said, there's a lot of weird attempts at unique things that, it feels like we just, it's not that people didn't try. It's just we just didn't get as many unique hits.
Yeah, like I look at my shelf and I just see more continuations. And that's why if you follow the channel for a while, you'll see me talk about like Danganronpa, because I'm like, that's so different. It's so different from what you normally experience. And it's why I like it. But they're a dime a dozen. And it's still a part of a genre. It's still like visual novel murder investigation, which we have seen to some extent. Maybe not as good as Danganronpa, but like, yeah, I think we saw a lot of comfort this generation, which is why a lot of us were crossing our fingers when we heard about new consoles coming, that maybe there'll be this much more powerful machine that will push us in a much broader direction where we can see that, or I'm sorry, more narrow direction where we could see more experimentation. But it seems to just be this open playing field where you can go in the graphics, your environments, gameplay. Like it seems to be pretty open to whatever the developers want, which might be a good thing, because maybe now not everyone's going to try to do open world. They might just try to make like the biggest, most complex gameplay system instead in like a set of levels. And I like the idea of that. So we'll see.
I think it's interesting with this and I guess maybe it's somewhat last generation too, how there was like two big, like kind of came out of nowhere. Then like it was a mad dash for a game. Like we had like the survival, like Daisy Wake, and then all the Daisy clones, and then much bigger, the Battle Royale. Then all of a sudden, every major game company had to have Battle Royale. And like both come out of Arma mods, which is funny.
Yep. One of the best games ever made, by the way. Buddy?
Yeah. But yeah, no, I just thought that was how it's like two things that like, not that people didn't see coming, but it happened and then it was really big and everyone tried to copy it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely a far cry from what we used to see. I forget this a lot during the 360 and PS3 generation, which was we'd have these like 8-hour campaigns, and then every game had that multiplayer. Like every game had team deathmatch.
Yeah,
and it was like sometimes you would have those moments where you're like, why is this even here? And you'd have moments where you'd ask that, but it would work, kind of like The Last of Us. I thought their multiplayer was really fun.
That was great.
Yeah,
I loved that.
I liked it a lot, and so I guess. It was hit and miss, but now we're seeing games like God of War, which don't need multiplayer and ended up being really good. It's just this big single player game, and we've sort of seen a revitalization. I think what we've seen is because as gaming grew through these new consoles, so the internet, and you'd start to see people saying like single player games are dying, and then there'd be a focus on like what single player games are coming out, and it would be more conversations about that than bringing like new ideas to the table in the terms of how you play a game, like Battle Royale honestly did. It was a different multiplayer experience. So we'll see with PS5 and Xbox One Series X if things do change. We have another question from Grimblade. This one's for you and I, Juice, but Karak, feel free as always to chime in. Actually, he has two. We'll start off with this. Since we have Matty and JuiceHead in one place, I would like to hear some Starfield speculation, since I'm guessing you guys mostly focused on Wastelanders this episode, which you were correct. What changes do you think BGS may make compared to their other games for this new IP? Would you like to start, my friend?
Yeah, I don't think Starfield's coming out this year, especially because there's no digital conference. Like, that was the sealing the deal. As far as what it does, I don't know. I don't know. Like, I wonder if the big thing I'm curious about is the multiplayer or social component. Like, if they're looking at the revenue or just the players with 76, whether that be good or bad, and then now they're going to try and do something with Starfield that has kind of a games as a service-esque. But yeah, I don't know. I'm excited for it. I have a feeling it'll just be like quintessential Bethesda RPG, like do the same notes, nothing super different.
And I think they need that, right? Like,
yeah, like I'm happy with that. I want that
exactly. Because I remember, like, when I dug into trademarks and stuff, and I try not to base too much of my discussions on them because sometimes they're just protecting the idea in case they want to do something. But I remember seeing like in trademarks, like under Starfield, there was multiplayer leaderboard systems, monetization specialist, I think was one. Like, there was that type of stuff.
Yeah.
And maybe they're just saying, hey, just in case we want to do this, let's have it trademarked and protect that. Or that aspect of our game, so it's not an issue in the future. But like Pete Hines has said so many times in interviews, he's like, the reason, he said in quotes, the reason we announced it, give me a break, but the reason we announced it was because we want to make sure people know, like, after Fallout 76, we're doing our usual thing. Like, he kept saying, like, Starfield's going to be this big single player game, like single player this, single player that. So, I don't mind if Bethesda Game Studios games have social elements. I think people were open to co-op for sure. I just think Bethesda, like, you gave them an inch and they took a mile kind of with 76. Like, people said, we're open to doing like 4-player co-op in Fallout. Like, it would be a little weird, but it might be kind of fun if Fallout 4 had like an extra friend in there. And they said, well, what if the whole world had that? and
like, no dialogue choices.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, well, that's definitely not what we were asking for. So, I hope that they do just kind of go back to basics. And I'm sure with that, we'll see some new, because like when you play certain games, like you can tell when a developer's inspired versus when it's sort of like a run-of-the-mill game. Like when I played Final Fantasy VII Remake, you could feel in like some of the cutscenes, like they really cared with like how the delivery was, the angles. Like sometimes the camera angles were that of the original. It's like, okay, they really gave a fuck when making this. They were paying attention. They like the originals, or they know about the originals, and you could see that in their work. And so I just hope with Starfield we see in the writing, in some of the environments, that like Bethesda gave a shit. That's all you can really ask for. Not that, I know a lot of people will disagree with this, but not that they didn't give a shit with 76, but they absolutely just rushed it out the door, which in turn could be giving less of a shit. But
they said it
was like an overhead.
sorry,
no, you're good. I thought it was an overhead decision. Sorry, go on.
They said today, which is interesting, because they have in one of those little dev dives, they are at the crash space station, and they're like, oh yeah, we really wanted to do more here when we released the game, but there's like time constraints and like we couldn't think of it, but they kind of alluded to it by like, yeah, no shit.
yeah, exactly. This question's for you, though this may have been answered. I'm curious why you haven't been on many podcasts in the past, whether here or elsewhere.
No real reason. I've done like a couple. I did King Gath's podcast. That was I feel like there's not like a ton of Fallout podcasts, and I really just cover Fallout.
Yeah, there's really not.
Nah, I think if I did more like general gaming, it would be different. But yeah, I don't know. I know I'm sure if I get deeper and deeper into Cyberpunk, that will change things. But I have another one next weekend, which with a special. I don't know if I could talk about who's coming.
Okay. We won't press anymore then.
Yeah. Oxhorn's on it. I know that's...
Oh, cool.
Close enough.
Cool. I have no idea.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on to Benjam's question. What's a really shitty game that has poor reviews and is known as a bad game, but for some reason you love playing it? For me, it's the Saw horror video game based on the Saw horror movies. There's something about it I just love to play, even though it's not good. I really have to urinate, by the way, so I'm just going to mute my mic and go while you guys answer that. So I'll be right back.
Go ahead, Juice. Do you have any? If you don't, I've got...
Not that I think. I feel like people would think it's Fallout 76 for me, but it's not. I don't love playing Fallout 76 in my personal time.
Gotcha.
But no, I don't think I have, or I can't think of one off the top. I don't really pay attention to reviews. Like if I like it, I like it. I don't know. A lot of games, I don't like just be like, oh, it's a review that's gonna make me buy it or not make me buy it.
We were laughing a couple days ago. We were like, I mean, I get shit for saying that if you agree with me, that's great. If you don't, go watch somebody else because they may agree with you. Like to me, it doesn't really seem to be that important. I get that people follow me because I do give detail, but I don't think that detail de facto means we'll all agree. And especially with like stuff like this where you might, you don't really look at reviews and stuff. One of the things I've done is I've done a review and then gone back and looked and seen what other people say, because I don't even really look at other people's ratings once I've done a review. Yeah. And for example, I'm a big fan of value. Huge. That's why the channel does the way it is. So to me, free to play MMOs are huge. How many hours can you get before you grind? How many hours can you get before you pay? And so I have a couple like Secret World, which now is pretty much paid, but there's Secret World. There's like Star Trek DC Universe Online, which has been around since PS3 days, like 13 years. And then Neverwinter. So, but then when I go look at their reviews, you know, they're not great. Their reviews aren't really stellar. But to me, I guess just coming from a value standpoint, I'm like, fuck you, man. Like from a value standpoint, these things are a 15 and they're very fun to play.
Yeah.
But I get why they're not reviewed well. But I would agree with you that most of the time, I mean, it's weird because if we were all sitting together and we disagreed about a game, it wouldn't stop. I don't think it would stop any of us from buying that game.
Yeah, no.
What I mean is, if I liked what I saw and you guys said, it's not fun, blah, 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 but I continued to see data where it looked fun, I would still go, I'm getting it. Because we're adults. Once you get above the age to purchase your own shit, like, you take in data, but you make the ultimate choice. So, yeah, I would say I don't even know unless I look. He was saying the same thing, Matty, was that he doesn't really look at reviews. He just sort of plays what he plays. So
And
it's
I
like,
think the only times I really look at reviews is more like just for information. Like I want basically an overview of the game.
You want an overview, right?
Yeah.
That's why previews can work, as long as they're not hyperbole, and that's where
that's where it gets dangerous.
is where it gets really dangerous. But yeah, that's why impressions I can deal with. But I agree with you. Sometimes you just want the data on something. How many character classes are there? How long is this? You know, and then it's like, well, my experience with it may be different. So thanks for the data, and you just move on.
Yeah.
Bad game I would enjoy. Yeah, that's a tough one because like
Battlefield Hardline for you. I'm just joking. I had to wait until you got back.
No, you're not.
I think
you're
it
not
got
wrong.
okay reviews though in the end.
I don't think it did. I thought it got like 5. I'm pretty sure it didn't.
Well, from me, but I don't remember what the Metacritic was on it or anything.
I can think of like what sucks about this question is that no offense to Benja, but I can think of games that I know people think are good that I don't like, but I can't think of like
Yeah, exactly.
I can't think of a bad game that I play. I'm like, yeah, this is shit, and I like it. You know, I can think of like hidden gems. You know, I can think of games that I play.
Yeah, those are easier, I think.
Not a lot of people enjoy this, but do I have anything on my PSP shelf?
Like I would say probably RimWorld is my game of the decade, but I don't know how many people would agree with
It's
me.
very highly rated.
What is that game?
Oh, really?
RimWorld? Oh, dude. I would say you're in agreement with like 50% of my.
Because I remember
that's all they talk about.
Like way back when I got the preview build before it was even released. I remember I had like barely any subscribers, but I've gotten like thousands of hours out of that game.
That's cool, man. That's very
Wow. I can think of one that's not universally loved, but I love them whenever they come out. And it's like the Warriors games, like Dynasty Warriors, Samurai Warriors.
Oh, I loved those as a kid.
Oh God, bro, I still love them. That's the thing. Like I used to play them all the time on the PS2. I stopped for a little bit. I went to a friend's house before I had a 360, and I think he had Samurai Warriors 2. It was one of like the earlier games that came out on the 360. I was just like, I gotta get this, man. And yeah, I've been playing them all my life. Like I was thinking of Dynasty Warriors Strike Force yesterday. I play like Hyrule Warriors or Fire Emblem Warriors. I'm excited for Persona 5 Scramble, which is like a Warriors take on Persona. So like, yeah, man, that shit's just it's so good. And I know a lot of people like it, so it's not like a bad game, but I know they're a very specific audience that they're trying to target. So that'll be my answer. Great Ape asks us a series of questions. The first was about the Outer Worlds DLC. Since we had a whole section of discussion dedicated to that, we will skip that. Number 2, I've watched the 90s X-Men series on Disney Plus recently. Makes me want a quality AAA video game with Sony and Marvel being close between Spider-Man and Iron Man VR. Hold on, wait. Makes me want to... Oh, he's saying he wants a quality AAA video game on the X-Men series. You could play... what is it, Wolverine Origins or whatever it's called?
Yeah, I remember that.
Oh my God, that was like the coolest friggin' game if you liked Wolverine, because it was just so bloody. Karak, you played that, right? We've talked about that before.
I played it, but not as much as like the Ultimate Alliance games and shit like that.
Yeah, they actually just released new DLC for Ultimate Alliance 3. Did you see that?
I saw that. I'm actually gonna. That we were talking about games we don't return to. Ultimate Alliance, I will actually return to. For sure.
I've wanted to, weirdly enough. I wasn't like a diehard fan of it. I could see what people liked about it because it was just a fun superhero beat 'em up, and that's why I gave it like a go buy it. Because while it wasn't like my biggest cup of tea, and I thought it was kind of messy, I was like, this is still like fun.
Yeah, it's still fun.
And I think like that's what matters with that type of game.
Mm-hmm.
And like I've seen, okay, now they got like after this new DLC, like 12 new heroes. A new
Dude,
story,
yeah, it's
Gauntlet. I was
crazy.
like, all right, I'm interested.
They've ultimately, well, to do a pun, they've supported it well. I'm actually quite depressed that we haven't seen a port. That's
it's still on
the
Switch.
exclusivity on just Switch is questionable to me at this time, but whatever.
Yeah, I feel like a lot more people would be talking about it. It's very surprising.
Yeah, I do too.
Unless Nintendo just cut the rights to
Paid
the franchise.
for the development, maybe,
Yeah.
or paid for the development in some way. Yeah, maybe footed something.
Oh, I'm sorry. There was more to see. He when Grade Ape puts in questions, he'll put like one and then type it out, enter, and there's a space. He put a space in too, but there was more that I did not read. How would you guys feel about Sucker Punch making an X-Men game for PS5 after Ghost of Tsushima? That was his question.
Yeah.
I'd be down with that. I'd be down with any like big AAA developer taking on like a Hero or a
Yeah.
like some type of well-known brand, right? And like I feel like even though Sucker Punch hasn't released a game since 2014, like even that they would be exciting because you just know they do have some form of talent. When it comes to new ideas like Ghost of Tsushima, I don't know how that'll pan out, but if you were like, yeah, we're making an X-Men game, I would be like, all right, shit, let's go. So that'd be cool. All right. Third question is Bethesda focused. Austin still seems unproven since being Battlecry Studios and doesn't seem like they have had the right people in place to deliver what most people want from a Fallout game. Do you guys know the work distribution on Fallout 76 with Wastelanders now and moving forward between Maryland and Austin? And Juice, feel free to correct me. I'm pretty sure as far as we know, it is Austin mostly handling this right now.
Yeah, like I don't think it's really any Maryland.
Yeah.
But I mean, we don't know, I guess, but it seems basically all Austin. Like even at like the conferences when they have all the people come up on stage, it's all Austin
Just them,
employees. So
yeah.
I mean, I guess the PR people or community people are in Maryland, but that's pretty much it, I think. Which is kind of weird, actually.
It is because it's like, is that like their U.S. team or their Bethesda Game Studios Maryland team? It's hard to tell. That's the issue with how they've named their company.
Like one dude is in Austin, but then like Lady Devon, I'm pretty sure is in Maryland, and she does, I think, a lot of the 76 stuff, despite the dev team,
Yeah, Sean's in Maryland.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, it's tough to tell. But from what we've seen in interviews, like Chris Myers usually like kind of front and center. And
He left, actually.
He did?
I don't remember. Oh, because I think it was like around PAX. I was like, why wasn't he at PAX? And then I looked up his
I
link.
noticed that.
And he, I think, or I don't know what the story, but it was like, it looked like his employment at BGS ended.
Wow.
Yeah, because he was a big dude. And like, then I was like, well, he just left a couple months before the release of a big DLC. Like, what's the story there?
Interesting. Yeah, I was wondering why we didn't see him at PAX. I
Yeah.
thought like, oh, he was just staying home because of what was going on. Things were like just starting to ramp
Yeah,
up with the
yeah.
virus. I was like, oh, he's probably staying home. Wow, that's interesting. Okay. Yeah, that's like he was front and center like the whole time.
Yeah.
Interesting. One guy from Bethesda Game Studios Maryland that does come out a lot for Fallout 76 related things is Jeff Gardner. He comes out a lot because he's like project director, I think he was, and I think he's done a good job steering the ship as of late. Sadly, he unfollowed me on Twitter after I kind of shit on Fallout.
Oh yeah, that happened to me too.
So,
It was probably Fallout first, if I'm gonna guess.
yeah, because I had a tweet that went like not viral. That's an extreme word, but like it got a lot of traction, and I just like pretty much called Bethesda fucking idiots flat out.
Yeah.
I was just
Okay,
like,
that is quite rare, at least from what I've noticed, because, dude, I am harsh on games. And
dude, I just think
I mean, I'm
people-
dropping Tory fucking black porn jokes while I'm surprised I haven't been unfollowed, and I have, at least from what I can tell, never been unfollowed.
The way I look at it
that's
is,
rough.
and I don't say this in a self-deprecating way. You have more value.
Oh, JuiceHead said his fire alarm is going off.
Oh, okay.
Did you see that?
No,
He's got to
I did
go for a second.
I was just gonna say to you, I think it's because generally you hold more community value than I. Not like I said, I don't say that to like shit on myself. I think you've got a lot of reach and in like general gaming with reviews. You hold a lot of influence, and not that I don't, I think you've got more of that where like people are less.
It's easier to hit the unfollow
I think
button.
yeah, exactly. That's the best way to put it. Like just easier to unfollow me. And it's, I don't really
find
take
that
offense.
distasteful as fuck, but whatever.
I don't take it. I don't really care. I
know you don't. I do. I get madder when shit happens to other people than ever to myself. I'm madder about that to you because now I want to go look it up and be like, what the fuck? I'm not gonna. No, I would never do that. But
I'm the same way. I'm usually like, oh, it happened to me. I don't give a fuck, man. But like, you know,
so it happened to the JuiceHead though. He was saying the same thing.
Yeah,
he got unfollowed too.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. All right. Well.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing is, in general, I know him and I have never been like malicious about Bethesda ever.
No, I've never. I mean, like, and you're not malicious towards a person either.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. So it's like even less so. It seems like it makes sense to react even less, but I guess that's just me.
Yeah.
I'm sure some people hate me. I'm not saying that, by the way. I know one person who follows me, and I know they can't stand me. And I'm not even mad about it, because, like, you too. You got friends, right? If you get a group of your friends together, and one of them just isn't is
100%,
cohesive as the rest. So, like, I know I bother some people, but I'm glad they didn't unfollow me. That's crazy.
I mean, like, it's kind of like the situation. You don't do things for attention, by the way. Like, neither do I. But like when you tweet something happens, and like and then no one really responds, and then someone tweets like the same fucking thing, and like they get like the laundry list of like verified Twitter checkmarked responses, and I'm like, that's strange.
Yeah, I have had that happen. I have had that. What's he say? He says, "Oh no, it's like a 30-minute ordeal for my apartment building, so he may not be able to come back."
Yeah, that's
well, we can get through these.
All right, yeah.
Fire alarm, people.
I mean, the fire alarm timing for Juice is, I guess, good, if you will. Sadly, I guess he won't be able to do an outro, but we only had 2 questions left. And if he comes back in that time, then we welcome him. Question 2, what game would you give a do-over, letting it have its release again, and what would you change to give it more of a chance of success? This is from Natural Calamity.
I'm assuming he means if we ran the company.
Yeah, if we were in the maybe if we were in the company, well, or if
Amazon
not,
or Amazon, Anthem.
What would you change to give it more of a chance of success?
Their engine, because I do believe that the graphics engine is the major cause of the blurb style gameplay. I keep calling it Amazon. Fucking shit, knock it off. I wanted Anthem to succeed. I think that kind of gameplay, if it had been done well in a good loop, could have been really fun. So yeah, definitely that.
I would go with Borderlands 3, and I would change 2 things. True. I would change, number 1, the combat scenarios were way too chaotic in not a good way, I thought. I like the feeling of enemies coming at me. And Borderlands 3 wasn't its issue of balance. It was just that, like I said, I know people are probably tired of me saying it ad nauseum, but that is literally the only game that's ever given me a headache from all the shit happening on screen multiple times. And it's like,
gotcha.
I think that shit's ridiculous, because that to me says if I'm usually at a good health state while playing your game and something happened in your game to bring me to less than good health, something is wrong with how much shit is happening on screen.
Yeah.
And I get they each thing is individualized. Like this gun has this many particle effects, and then this one has that many, and then you have all the co-op elements, and you have all the enemies, and then you balance that so you up all the enemies on screen for co-op. I just think it got to a point of like too much, and not the World War Z too much where it felt right. But it's because like
it was just a mess.
Yeah, each weapon just didn't have like a colorful explosion. It just got way too much. The second thing I'd change, and probably more importantly, was the writing. I would absolutely rewrite the fuck out of the Calypso twins, because
they were pretty terrible.
Yeah, I don't think the whole streamer thing, like showcasing what you're doing and building a following, did not work. It was more so their approach of just shit humor. It almost would have been better if they were like dead serious the whole game. I'm not even kidding. Like, I know Borderlands is known for his humor, but save the humor for the side quests, because there were some funny ones in there. Because there was one on Pandora where you went to like a birthday party, and like this guy's daughter passed away, and like you're doing all these competitions that she liked, and you like beat all her records intentionally, and he's just like, he's like, he's like, oh, that's good. You beat a record. We'll never remember her now. Like just that type of shit where you're like, oh,
that's
God.
that's actually good.
Yeah, it's like a great mixture of dark humor. But they just don't have enough of that. They kind of went soft on the game, and then they went in the other direction when it came to the story. Not everyone's got to be Handsome Jack. You know, that's the issue that Borderlands is going to have now in the future, like Assassin's Creed has. Like, everyone has to be Ezio. It's like, no. Just everyone has to be as individual as Ezio. Everyone has to be as individual as Handsome Jack. And I think that's the things I would change personally. Question 3, our final question of the episode. Do you think those who release a featureless and buggy game should be forgiven? And should games be praised when they come out in the state of finished right out of the gate? And he provides examples like 76, No Man's Sky, Sea of Thieves. So I found the second part of his question a little more interesting, of praising games when they come out finished, because his perspective is probably, if I'm assuming correctly, this is how it should always be, right?
Yeah.
So what do you take
Yeah.
when it comes to forgiving a company for bouncing back? Like we were just talking about how we hope Bethesda does bounce back with 76. I don't think it's bad. I think forgiveness is worthy. It's called being human.
It is, but I also think there's some creepy psychology forgiveness. They don't really require my forgiveness. They require an increase in trust.
Yeah.
So I might lack of, and I know you're not saying that. That was the question, but I'm saying I feel a lack. No, it's fine. I feel a lack of trust, and then that trust is built back up or whatever. Like you and I probably trusted BioWare, and then over time you keep pulling it back a little bit more. Probably started with Inquisition for me, and then but it wasn't terrible. It's just it eats away a little bit, and you're like, where are they? But I will say also treating them like people is really a bad move, and saying like, do they deserve this? They is the way you should say it because it's plural, but it's a company and there's thousands of people there a lot of times. So I think trust is fairly not as aggressive as like shame or all this kind of thing. Also, the fucking celebrating games that are done. No, dude, no.
Yeah,
the game should be that way. I'm not going to say who, but I think you can guess because you may have covered this game. I gave a game or wait for a sale, and I was in a forum, and I was one of the few that gave it that. Until later, when more people got a hold of it, and then its ratings started to skew lower. And I was like, listen, there's this problem, this problem, this problem. No lie, dude. The dev came in there and had the audacity to tell me I should have given it a higher score because it didn't have microtransactions. And I was just like, that's the lack of a bad thing is not the same as a continuation of a good thing or the inclusion of a good thing. That to me is crazy. And it was so uncomfortable as a discussion because I saw behind the veil, and he was like, you should definitely say it's a buy. Are you saying that because we don't have microtransactions, you shouldn't?
And I'm just like, Ubisoft written on it.
It does not.
Oh, okay.
I'll tell you after the thing because I don't want to deball this person.
Yeah,
but
I thought of
it was
Breakpoint,
really
and
distasteful.
I thought of Division 2. Those are the two I thought of.
You know what though, Matty? They would never contact me. I don't think. You know what Ubisoft would do? Thanks for reviewing the game. Here's your next code.
Yeah.
This was a smaller company, and I think they took it more personally. But it was that moment you just said you were unfollowed. I wasn't unfollowed, but I could tell that they probably weren't going to listen to me again in the forum because I was just like, what the fuck are you talking about? I had these issues. I don't care. Like, what? But no, I think $60 is $60. 30 is 30. You and I rated State of Decay 2 at what its cost was and what we thought we got out of it, which some people may not have agreed with us for that. But that's sort of weird to be like, I don't know, the idea of it not having something.
Yeah.
Wait, hey, can you guys hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, I'm in my car.
Wait, what? It sounds
so
pretty good.
When my apartment, because I'm in an apartment building, when the fire alarm goes off, the whole fire department has to come.
Oh,
really?
It's so freaking loud. I can't stay in my. It actually would blow my eardrums to stay.
Right.
And I didn't want to put it on the mic, so I just stopped talking.
I didn't even hear. That's the thing. When it started, did you get like a warning? Because like I didn't even hear the sirens.
No, it's so loud. Like it literally scares me every time it goes off.
Oh my
like
God.
It's you can't stay in the room without like covering your ears. It's so loud.
Oh my gosh. I guess that means that God forbid something happens, you'll wake up. But at the same
Yeah, you're
time,
certainly not going to sleep through that shit.
Yeah.
And like I won't stay because like one time because this happened like 2 days ago also, and like I try to like stay in the apartment, just wait it out because it's always something like stupid, like someone burnt toast.
Yeah.
But it was so loud. I was like, I can't stay here. It like hurts. So yeah, no, now I'm in my car on my phone.
That's wild. You sound good. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds very good.
We literally just like pumped out the last 2 questions. If you want to like give your 2 cents on them real quick.
Okay. Yeah. Sure.
All right. First one was, what game would you give a do-over, letting it have its release again, and what would you change to give it more of a chance of success?
Fallout 76. Add like an extra 6 months dev time, human NPCs, dialogue choices.
There we go.
Yeah.
Good answer. Last question is, do you think those who release a featureless and buggy game should be forgiven? And should games be praised when they come out in a state of finished right out of the gate? And he provides examples of like 76, No Man's Sky, and Sea of Thieves for probably the first part of that question.
I feel like that one's hard because I feel like games being praised for being done is only like a new thing because games are being released when they're not done, which is ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I feel like you almost have to now because it's becoming a novelty in a way, but in a perfect world, you shouldn't be praising developers or publishers for allowing people to finish their jobs and then you paying for a complete product.
Yeah.
But I feel like it's basically a byproduct of our times now.
It's true. So do you think that if they release a buggy game, we'll say 76, right? That's probably a good example.
Mm-hmm.
Do they deserve forgiveness? Eventually.
I mean, if they fix it and like do good, I guess. But like, I'm not gonna never play a game that released. But like, I'm never gonna. It's not that I'm not gonna ever play No Man's Sky because it released as it did.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I feel like it always, like, you'll probably permanently turn people off when you do stuff like, which rightfully so.
Yeah.
Like, it's like you're kind of cheating the consumer relationship there in a way, where it's like you're promising one thing. You're obviously not showing off the bugs in the trailers. But then when you get it, if you have a affected experience due to bugs, like that's a big issue. I don't know.
Yeah, no.
Especially if they
agree.
know. Like if it's like a stupid bug where it's like, remember how like the beta deleted itself or whatever?
Oh my god, yeah.
Or like that's one thing. But when you release a game with like 76 or like Anthem that has so many, like they obviously knew and they just didn't care and released it anyway. Like that's kind of taking it to a next level.
Yeah, I was of the mindset that like forgiveness should happen eventually, but I don't think I explained any of my thoughts properly whatsoever. Like it's an entertainment product, right? Like we don't have a direct relationship with a company. That's why like I can't stand sort of the circle jerk with CD Projekt Red because it's like they're a great company, but people act like they're best friends, and it's like, dude, they're a company, they're a business, they're gonna.
They're not saving babies from floods.
Yeah, exactly, and it's not bad that people like them, but there's a difference between a good relationship with your consumer and like in relations, and so I feel like as long as I'm entertained, like you've got my respect. I feel like it's a respect thing, and so for Bethesda, when it comes to Youngblood, when it comes to 76, like I have not been entertained. I was entertained by Rage 2 and especially Doom Eternal, but you know, they haven't entertained me, and I love Fallout, so in turn I want to be entertained by that. If they start fixing it with Wastelanders, like, yeah, I'm not going to be as fucking pissed at them. But people conflate that often with like, well, you're okay with them now, but does that mean you're not going to be as critical of them? And it's like, no, they're two separate things. Like, you can just be realistic while appreciating what just happened. And if you can't tell them like, hey, you did a good job here, and it's never enough, then how do they gauge how good of a job they did, where they need to push, where they need to pull back? Because eventually, Karak, you and I have talked about this a lot, if everyone's just like, this sucks for like everything you do, eventually you just pull down the blinders and you just go like, all right, we're just going to do our thing and hopefully it works. Because, you know, no one's giving us like any type of
There's
feedback.
no leeway, and if you're still going to try to do whatever product you're going to do, you're just going to put your head down and go. Yeah. I treat it like food in a weird way, like a restaurant. If there's a couple bad dishes, will I go back? Maybe. Depends on the cost. Depends on if my friends tell me it's good now, would I go back? Well, maybe. That's all like a game. But this weird personalization of companies creeps me the fuck out. You should not ever invest with them, for instance. I know people like to do the, what do you call them? The pre-orders. Dude, I'm like, what are you doing?
Only one
man?
I did it for in the last couple of years was Persona 5 Royal, because I was like, I like Persona 5.
What? And you already knew Persona 5. If that's Royal, then you already knew Persona 5 had come out.
That's what I'm saying.
You're talking about the second. Yeah, so it's not even the same really thing. I think that's not fine. I wouldn't do it, but I get what you're saying. But it's like these questionable, like brand new games, and they're like, yeah, you need to pre-order 6 months ahead, and here's as Juice said, here's a trailer that is questionable anyway, because you never know what's in a fucking trailer, right? Mm-hmm. You're like, come on, man. I make myself look better than I really look, unfortunately for my wife, for every single fucking video I do, right? We all do that kind of stuff. So yeah, it's a weird, man, don't personalize companies. I guess that's just the way I would say to people, enjoy a game. That doesn't mean you have to love the company, and hate a game. It doesn't mean you have to hate the company. Like, it's fucking weird. Yeah, I don't know.
That's why I've never been that way. I hated 76. I didn't hate like Doom. I didn't hate Dishonored.
That doesn't make any sense. Yeah, it's so weird. It's so weird.
Really strange. But that wraps up our questions. Before the show, I said to JuiceHead, we usually like keep good on time, but that was inaccurate. It's been almost 2.5 hours, and now we're past 7 o'clock. You can't eat now, so I apologize for that.
Yeah, no, that's it. I'm screwed.
Yeah, no more food for the night. You got to sleep. You got to get your rest. Wastelanders.
We'll just replace it with alcohol. I won't be hungry.
We really are happy you came on, by the way, man. And,
very much.
And you are more than welcome to hop on whenever you want, even like the following week if you want to just talk Wastelanders experience.
Yeah.
I know you already have another podcast book, but you get what I'm saying. Like, more than welcome to come back, and obviously we'll stay in touch like we have. But yeah, man, if you got anything else you want to shout out as we round up the show, anything you want to say, by all means, man.
Yeah, no, I mean, thanks for having me. This is a lot of fun. Again, like as it was one of the questions alluded to, I haven't really done many podcasts, but it is fun. Like, it's just fun to riff, talk long form on ideas, not trying to make it like a concise, like prepackaged thing for a video. You just kind of see where the conversation goes. But it's a lot of fun. I would definitely love to be back on, especially after Wastelanders, to see if it does all it might do or all it could do.
Yeah.
But no, if you want to watch me, I'll have Fallout videos on my YouTube channel, JuiceHead. But otherwise, that's it.
All right, cool. Well, thank you once again for joining us. Karak, any final words?
Yeah, we're going to use the hashtag #NotOJ, because it was not OJ who joined us for this. So if you made it to the end, hashtag #NotOJ, and we'll know that you're not a liar and you actually listened all the way to
Nice.
And I love you all, and stay safe, because it's a shitty time out there.
All right. Yes, I agree. And with that, we will catch you guys in next week's episode, all right? Peace out.
Peace out.
Peace.